Should now be live.
All right. Hello there, everybody, for a very special episode of the Paradox Hour. I think we should go around the table and I think just say hello and say why we're here. Jack.
Hello there. I'm Jack, and I am a gotcha addict.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Mill, and I'm a trading card addict.
Edo.
Hello, I am Kaito, and I am currently a Genshin obsessed player.
And Tiago.
Hello, I'm Diago. I'm currently very deep in this gacha hell.
And of course, the ever-present looming terror that is currently has a gotcha game in development, if it wasn't already terrifying enough.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Fuzzy, what are you planning?
Oh boy.
I think just for the sake of the bit, I'm Fuzzy and I'm a recovering trading card addict. Also, how's it going, everybody? Today we're talking about gotcha hell. It's more of a history lesson than anything as well as the contemporary stuff, because we're going to start with really the proto gotcha, the proto loot box, the thing that bankrupted an entire generation and continues to rub its greedy little tendrils up inside all of the youths. I am of course referring to trading card games.
Good old Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
I will not
Really,
come
the
off
thing
well
that
in this
started the
segment.
bus is Magic the Gathering.
But
That's
certainly,
what you really have to thank for all of it.
certainly for me, it's Yu-Gi-Oh. So many Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was one for me as well.
Pokemon cards was it for me.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards was it for me when GX was a thing. Immediately after 5Ds came to the picture, I pretty much fell off Yu-Gi-Oh very hard because I don't want to play.
I fell off it sometime
money.
during the GX phase, I think.
Well, I was after GX took the OG anime's place on, was it Nickelodeon, Nicktoons, whatever the fuck it was. I managed to stay clean for 10 years, and then once I got back into anime, I was dragged back in. And
odd turn of.
Now I'm at the point where this Christmas, instead of a traditional advent calendar, I just bought a tin of Yu-Gi-Oh cards to open every day.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Sounds like a great idea.
Look, Mill, the first step is admitting that you have a problem.
Oh, I absolutely.
The second step
Second
step is acknowledging that you have a problem and then continuing your destructive behavior, because that's basic human nature.
If it makes you feel better, Mill, I put 20 quid into Genshin on Christmas because I thought it was fine to cheat.
I got a shiny Monster Reborn, if that makes it any better.
Isn't that one?
How much is it worth, Mill?
I believe Monster Reborn's legal again.
Monster Reborn is legal again, yeah.
Ew.
Wait, what?
Monster Reborn is legal again.
Jesus Christ.
That's nice.
I mean, to be fair, there's so much degenerate nonsense that Monster Reborn is just too slow to be worth anything.
Oh yeah, Monster Reborn is shit now if you play anyone who's actually playing a meta deck.
Yu-Gi-Oh just had the big brain strategy of and just fix the broken by just having even more broken, so the broken is not broken anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty much the yeah, that's the strategy Konami is employing with regards to Yu-Gi-Oh. Me, I just ignore anything past GX and only play fusions.
I only play Exodia decks. I don't know how to play them because like Exodia decks are hard to play. Right? You have to be very, very careful with your ordering, and you have to be very, very careful with like how and when you play your cards. And as a result, for me, who is bad, I'm bad at them. I think it bears mentioning that I'm the only one in the chat who got hooked on the OG, aren't I?
Magic the Gathering? Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, in a funny twist of events, I'd already sampled basically all of the Magic ripoffs. So it was mostly in my childhood Pokemon cards, and then Duel Masters.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Right? And then I spent so much money. And it wasn't even. I mean, I was a child, so it was my parents' money, but like, still, money was being wasted. Is the point? And after that whole debacle, I decided that wasn't enough, and decided to pivot to Yu-Gi-Oh. And you want to know the worst part? In hindsight, I've realized most of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards I wasted money on were bootlegs.
Oh no.
God.
So they're worth even less than nothing.
Amazing.
Fucking rip.
So,
I do also
Like,
have a
I
couple
didn't-
of bootleg cards, and they are hilariously inaccurate. Like
Same.
their
no,
names
it's not.
are
No,
hilarious.
that's the worst part. Is that the cards I was buying, they were perfectly accurate. It's just they were not like printed by whoever was printing them at the time.
I think the rarest Yu-Gi-Oh card I actually have is a Japanese Winged Dragon of Ra. I don't know what
Fucking
happened
hell.
with it though. Unfortunately, though, we're talking
Like-
like over a decade
Mm.
since I last saw this card.
My best
I
card
will admit,
is
before I-
Joey's. My best card is Joey's best card, Swordsman of Landstar. It's not, but I love that joke.
So, I mean, look on the bright side. At least it's not freaking Flame Swordsman.
I'd also have a Flame Swordsman somewhere, so I never had. For one thing, I never had polymerization to begin with, and B, I never
I
had
Yeah,
the components of
polymerization
Flame
is super
Swordsman.
rare. I looked for a physical copy of polymerization. Of course, so I would lived in a place where there really wasn't any sort of singles market, so
I still
no
How
own.
ways
about
than one, if
we,
you know what I'm saying.
Before we go down too deep the Yu-Gi-Oh rabbit hole, how about we talk about our experiences with actually collecting trading card packs and how we've been screwed over by bad luck with that?
Oh, I mean,
I was just
Because,
about to get into that actually.
yeah.
Is that I lived in a place where there wasn't really a singles market for most of my childhood, and as a result, the only way I could get cards was by buying the packs. Couldn't actually buy specific cards I want. So you have no idea how many packs I like bought in hopes of getting polymerization.
I mean, when
I did not ever manage to land a single polymerization. I ended up pulling more of those GX fake Egyptian gods than I ended up pulling polymerization.
I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't even know that, like, oh, you have to have like a structure to your deck that, you know, everything works together. So first and foremost, my deck was shit. Second, obviously, that meant that I didn't know what cards I needed, and so would randomly buy packs. So I'm sure a lot of wasted money went into them. Nowadays, because I only stick to fusions, anytime I get an Xyz, a Pendulum, a Link, or a Synchro card, it is wasted on me. And that makes up a lot of the cards in the new packs.
Right? It's like they introduced so many new mechanics. I'm just like, do we really have to keep introducing the new gimmicks? Like, I get it, but like, please, I'm an
They
old
also-
man now. I can't
yeah.
handle this.
They also like have so many different like not structure decks, but like different types of decks. So you've got stuff like Salamangrates and what's some of the worst Altergeists, and like in those decks you will have cards that are like really good and that I can use, but to get them I have to buy packs for the Altergeists or the Salamangrates, and then suddenly if I don't get the card I want, I'm stuck with a bunch of useless cards because I'm never gonna play Salamangrates or Altergeists. You have no idea.
You're saying words that I do not understand.
Same.
You have no idea
I
how
have a
long
vague
I've been
understanding of it.
searching, or how long I searched for Dark Magical Circle and Eternal Soul for my Magician's deck, and how long I'm still searching for fucking Palladium Oracle Mahad, who fucking is so good in a deck like mine, but I can't find him for all the money in the world. I could just buy a single of him, but no, I keep buying packs for some reason.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that like we've been brainwashed into thinking like that pack opening is the optimal way, where no, it's not. It's really not. It's
really
actually
not.
the furthest thing from optimal.
I should just
Right,
buy
like,
singles.
Sunk cost fallacy.
That's the thing, is that's what the publishers want us to believe, right?
Yeah.
They want us buying as many packs as possible.
Oh, they absolutely do. Because not to mention, they don't get money from singles. They like Konami doesn't sell singles.
Yes, that's
We'd
the
be
point.
buying them second hand.
Singles are entirely a secondhand market, which I actually wonder how much money do you think there is to be made if card game people, the publishers started releasing singles, like inflated prices? Do you think people would rather go through the official channels? If it was more
Probably.
convenient.
No,
I
because
wouldn't say
probably
so.
because it would only make sense for them if they made it very expensive.
Like, yeah,
Honestly,
I
they
If
like.
it
make more
wasn't
money
very
off of their
expensive, they
sales.
would be missing out.
Like, I think they would actually be better off, certainly for, like, because obviously they have the opportunity to print any card they want. So what would be a smart business move for them? I really hope nobody takes my advice on this because it would be hell. Is to look at the cards that are like super inflated prices, and I'm talking like over £100, and just printing those and selling them for slightly less than the lowest price because people will buy them because they're the in-form card, and
Yes,
I
and
can't
I
imagine
think,
that it'll cost them that much money to print it in the first place.
Wouldn't that cause the value of the card to get disinflated? Because supply and demand.
yes, but at that
yada,
point,
yada.
the thing is, it would require a bit of logistical juggling because then they could just change the prices around, or they could even like. Here's the worst part: they can use their like if they really wanted to go full Scumlord, which they don't need to, right? That's the point: is that they don't need to go full Scumlord because they make like enough as it is. Well, not enough to them, but like it's not worth
I mean,
the opportunity cost to them for the most part.
Konami has made enough money from its other ventures, basically all of them gambling related, that they've just gone out of the fucking video game market.
Pachinko.
Yeah.
No, but what the point I was trying to make is that what they could do is buy up the entire stock of the expensive cards and alter, like, change the rarity of those cards, like
Is
under
that
the
even
table.
legal?
Because no one cares about trading card games in that sense. Probably there's no laws around it.
You
I-
do have a
yeah.
point.
My only issue is with the idea of like selling singles is that like when you get the card that you want in a pack, that dopamine rush is like otherworldly.
I know.
That's the point.
So when I was a kid, because I used to go to this one shop, and like where I'd get sweets, and they also sold Yu-Gi-Oh booster packs. No joke, within one pack, I actually got the 3 pieces of the Gate Guardian.
God.
All in one, which was incredible. And going back to the whole point of like structure, because again I used to play only like around the time of GX. I only ever got elemental hero cards. So I'd always get at least maybe something that was at least kind of worthwhile, if not like an actually like really good fusion that I hadn't got yet. So I mean, I guess for me, I was just like the gacha god smiled on me when I was a child.
Um,
R&D
interesting
liked you
note
when you were
about
young, when you were younger.
yeah, interesting note about the elemental hero cards. So I was still collecting cards into the GX era, so I got a ton of them. However, because I had a blood feud with GX because it replaced the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, um, before the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime ended, like the last thing I remember is the fucking Yu-Gi versus Kaiba duel at Battle City, like in the Colosseum. And for so long, I was confused about why the fuck that was in a Colosseum when no other duel was. But because I didn't watch GX, I didn't know the Elemental Hero cards were from GX. So like, I just saw these like cool looking cards, like oh god, what ones did I have? I can't even remember now.
That's
Um,
that's Shakespeare tier dramatic irony right
I
there.
know.
I think the only thing with GX with Yu-Gi-Oh at least, especially because it has a promotional anime, uh, you can tell that like a lot of the main characters are the ones that will always get like updates and expansions to the decks, which is always a shame if you like a lesser deck that isn't really promoted as much,
hmm
because you basically have to deal with what's essentially like a stagnated series of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even worse for those who, you know, were um, like the earlier Pro Tags decks, like say Dark Magicians or though to be fair, Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon have both gotten serious updates from the OG Yu-Gi-Oh days, so that they're now sort of viable, sort
I
of.
mean,
They have
speaking
been
of,
power creeped out of existence.
I
You're
mean,
viable
speaking of,
as long as you're playing against someone who wants to have fun with you as opposed to steal your fun.
speaking of Blue Eyes, I actually still have the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon and all of the ones from the movie. I have like
Oh
three
yeah.
copies of I have three copies of all
God,
the
I
cards
remember
because
that.
I forced my parents to take me to the cinemas multiple times to see if they'd be other cards.
We have to
Because
discuss.
I heard a rumor that apparently like the God cards were available to get, and I never got them.
Just
God
as,
cards were always, but those things were like, you could not get a non-bootleg version of the God cards.
but yeah, just a side note, we have to discuss the Pyramid of Light movie because it is fucking hilarious. Uh,
I mean,
I've never actually watched it, so I'm gonna need some
so
context.
watch it;
good.
it's so fucking hilarious. But on that subject, like I also have, I think I have like 2 or 3 copies each of the fucking Sphinx cards. And they're awful because if you don't have Pyramid of Light, you can barely use them. And I never got Pyramid of
Yeah,
Light.
I also had like several copies of the Sphinx cards.
They're terrible. Even with Pyramid of Light, they're
Oh,
fairly
yeah.
shit. But you need Pyramid of Light to make them at all viable, and I didn't get it.
I'm still annoyed because I had Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, but I never had the Ultimate Dragon until
Mm.
like by the time I bought, like I actually got one, I had already fallen out of the series. I just wanted to say that, oh, I had a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon at that point.
Mm.
I didn't even have 3 Blue Eyes Dragons to fuse with in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, here's the strategy to get out of basically rolling for cards via packs that we've not mentioned, is that if you don't if you're not gonna play in tournaments and you're just playing with friends, just fucking turn a card around in your sleeves, get a piece of paper and write the name of the card.
Yeah, so proxies is actually something that has been a subject of great controversy in the Magic the Gathering community because it's kind of elitist. But that's kind of there's been a lot of talk about like making proxies and tournament legal.
That would turn tournaments up on its head because suddenly you don't need fucking You don't need a ton of money to compete. You don't need a ton of
Yeah,
luck
so
to
that's the
compete.
thing, is that I think it's
Yeah, the thing with trading card games is that they're kind of cash gated to a degree, especially for
it's
a
very
tournament.
much a rich person's hobby, right?
Oh,
It's
it
like,
absolutely is.
Not to the degree of stuff like Warhammer, but very close.
I would almost argue that Warhammer is kind of a much softer option, relatively
Well, I
speaking.
know. Well, I know. Speaking of card games, I know Pokemon, from what I've heard, is quite infamous with the card game because it's
Oh,
gotten to the
God.
point where I believe the people who are basically hoarding and hunting for the rare cards have kind of overtaken the competitive aspect of the hobby. So
Which
if
is
you
They have
just
to
really,
learn.
a
They have
great
to learn
design
from
decision.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
so getting into the Pokemon TCG is like awful because yeah, unless you're willing to like pay all the money that scalpers are willing to like offer, for the rare cards, you really struggle to like get good stuff.
I mean,
Honestly, it's like this artificial scarcity bullshit that
yeah.
prevents people from enjoying the game as much as they could.
I mean, that's the thing. I've got back in uni, I had a friend who only played meta decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, and it was just like whenever I dueled him, it was just not fun. It wasn't fun for me because I was getting my ass handed to me, and it was barely fun for him because he was basically going to the newest meta decks every few months, and so I had to keep learning the fucking strats for them.
You should have just loaded your decks with stuff like Sakuretsu Armors and Mystical Space Typhoons. Like, use all the banned cards because you're clearly not paying.
Hey, Sakuratsu
Sounds like
Armor
you're
and
not playing,
Mystical
like-
Space Typhoon are not banned. Not banned. They are fine.
I
Pot
thought
of
they
Greed
anymore.
still
were.
banned.
No.
Pot of Greed still banned.
Pot of Greed is still banned. But there's a whole series of pot cards like Pot of Extravagance, and what's the one that
Right, they
banishes
banned the
10
thing and then
cards
added
from
more.
your deck so you can draw 2, which is the worst card ever because I had a friend who used 2 of those, banished half his deck, and suddenly had no cards.
I know there's also like Graceful Charity. Like, you draw, what is it, like 5 cards and you can get rid of like 2 of the
Hmm.
2 of them or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Isn't it banned too?
I don't think so.
Cards that can let you draw multiple cards in any card game is like game breaking because
Yeah.
the whole point is you want to draw more cards to
Mm.
then have more options sooner.
Oh yeah, I mean one of the
Honestly, the only
good
ones
things
that
about
kind of avoid that.
Isn't that the entire principle behind when TKOs? Just draw your entire deck first
Yeah.
turn and then just.
yeah,
make
that's
it.
the basis behind
I mean,
a very good
there's
Exodia deck.
there's legitimately Exodia decks in
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh where you can literally draw your entire deck before your opponent can even play.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
if,
you can still do that.
yeah. So if anyone watched me and Fuzzy a few Sundays back, we played Yu-Gi-Oh on a system called Yu-Gi-Oh Pro. They do have like computer generated decks, and one of them is an Exodia deck where if they go first, they win. If they go second and you can't beat them in one turn, they win because they just draw and draw and draw until they have all 5 pieces of Exodia.
I mean, I find it hella amusing that like if you watch speedruns of the Yu-Gi-Oh video games, some of them just end early because the AI has got an Exodia because Exodia is an instant win condition.
Yeah.
God.
Speaking
Exodia is just so, but the would be wasn't so difficult to draw all 5 Exodia cards to begin with.
That's the thing. There are now so many cards that allow you to draw. That if you have a deck full of them, it's not that hard. Though quite a few of them are banned. But also just the stupidity of Konami is that they make these new cards to overpower the last new cards that they released, and suddenly they're so overpowered that they go straight onto the ban list. Like there's a card called Red Eyes Dragoon, which is a fusion between Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician, and it's fucking broken, and it went onto the ban list straight away, and it'll only come off once it's been nerfed.
See, that's what
Or, once they publish so many other OP cards that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, like if they just once they make a card that is a hard counter to it, then it'll probably come off. But then the hard counter card will probably go onto the ban list straight away because Konami are idiots.
I should
The
probably
glory of
explain
Konami.
power creep though, because it's a term that occurs often in both gachas and
Hmm.
trading card games. And it's basically when the new introduced cards or characters or whatnot basically are so overpowered that they render the most of the previous stuff obsolete, and that leads to a greater escalation of similarly overpowered stuff that renders the other stuff obsolete, and so on and
Mhm.
so forth up the chain.
Yeah, links
Ad
links are,
nauseum.
links are that in Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment. Links are fucking broken to me. Then again, I don't have anything to stop links because I'm an old-fashioned Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah, to be
player.
fair, I feel like
The-
that's mostly more of a you issue simply because.
Oh, it probably is, but I hate links with a passion.
Wait, the Zelda character?
Yeah, but I think we've mostly talked about just Yu-Gi-Oh at this point, so maybe we can talk about
Yeah,
move on
so-
to loot boxes.
No. I was actually gonna say, I have this unique experience. I have actually got you guys beat because I have 2 other card games under my belt.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hearthstone,
oh,
which is an entire can of worms, and accompanying that is when Magic the Gathering Arena came out, which is the digital official MTG thing. That's when I really got like my first shot of Magic the Gathering, and I realized, oh, hey, this is a really fun game because this is where all of the other card games came from. But also, oh good lord, it is it attempts to kind of like cement its place as the OG by causing as much pain as possible to its users.
Mhm.
Right? Like it one ups the competition in terms of just how god awful all of the models and the monetization and everything is. And good lord, I've wasted so much money on it.
Yeah.
Of course, Hearthstone is Activision Blizzard, which needs no further introduction, really.
I mean,
Yeah.
any company that has a trading card game, you could probably say that their name is synonymous with scummy.
What about Valve's trading card game?
Well, speaking of
Kind of, yes,
I
considering
mean,
the fact
Games
that
has a trading card game.
the Valve trading cards, it's kind of they're designed specifically to make it impossible to complete your collection without spending a lot of money. Well, not a lot of money necessarily, but like without
that game
spending
was-
tangible
Is it?
currency.
Isn't Valve's card game already dying?
I was gonna say, I believe it's already dead.
No, no.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Steam trading cards,
Oh.
like the workshop
No.
stuff.
Oh
No,
no, I
they
meant
had
the-
they had an actual TCG at some point.
Artifact,
For
yes.
some reason.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, because now it's basically become an artifact. It's already a
Oh, rip.
relic of its time.
I mean, let's
Has
be
become
real. It was always a
historical
cash
after.
grab that was never going to work.
I mean,
Well,
isn't the
speaking
definition
of-
of TCGs?
Speaking of video game companies, I think this is a good time to transition over to the video game equivalent to trading card games, loot boxes.
Hi, I'm
EA
Mill,
says
and I'm
hi.
a former loot box addict. Well, not addict, but certainly user
I used to
of loot
play
boxes.
Overwatch, and every so often I would put money into loot boxes.
Thankfully, by the time Overwatch came out, I was, I wasn't willing to put money into it. But oh god, did I spend far too much money on FIFA Ultimate Team? Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
no.
Oh
man.
no!
Yeah.
Oh no.
Because
No,
back when I was in
why?
high school, everyone played FIFA. FIFA was the game that you played, and so me wanting to be cool, got into FIFA, started playing Ultimate Team, and God, I put so much money into that. Oh God, I
And
remember.
then you realize, everyone who plays FIFA isn't cool to begin with.
Yeah, no, I eventually after about half a dozen destroyed controllers, I realized that FIFA was not worth investing any time in.
Hmm.
And I by that point I was approaching my final years in high school or sixth form college, and I decided if my if people decide to be my friend based on whether I play FIFA or not, I don't really want to be their friend.
Yeah, no, that's a great indication of, you know what? Let's reconsider our life choices.
But the
I
high
mean,
Yeah.
half my friend group. I was the weird kid in my friend group because if half my friend group didn't play FIFA, but there was also half of my friend group that also just only played FPSs,
Hmm.
and I didn't play either.
Thank God I got out of FPS. Thank God I got out of COD before they started loot boxing. I assume they've started loot boxing by now.
Oh, they've gone all in on the loot boxing.
Yeah,
COD
I'm
has
glad
been
I
loot
got out
boxing
of
for a
that.
while now.
I'm glad I managed to
See,
get out
I
of that.
vivid-
Any
Okay,
game.
I
so I
visited
should
Same,
a lot.
explain
same.
that there are two kinds of loot boxes. There's aesthetic loot boxes and value loot boxes. Aesthetic loot boxes are just like skins and other things that are just
So
like
Overwatch.
pure aesthetic. They don't
So
contribute
yeah,
to
so
the
the common
gameplay at
ones
all.
today.
Yeah, so like Overwatch and such.
Hmm.
The others are gameplay loot boxes that basically just actually give you gameplay items like equipment or characters.
Like FIFA.
Like
So
with what
Which is
Uh,
more, that's just gotcha at that point.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
that's much
probably the
more
most
aesthetic.
It's
probably
So
the
I'm
most
worse
gonna
than
say
Gacha, honestly.
this. I like this is not really a I don't think it's a controversial opinion necessarily, but I also don't think it's necessarily like an uncontroversial opinion. But like really, I prefer the gotcha format of just having like it give you things that you can actually use to power up in game.
Hmm.
If only because then I'm at least getting something tangible,
Yeah.
I
right?
think the problem is less like the model itself, or more like what the game is. So, like if you have a gotcha, you have to do that. But in most gotchas that I know of, most of the game it isn't actually PvP. So if you don't have it, who really cares? You can still play. But like
Hmm.
if you get like a Call of Duty kind of thing, if you don't have the good thing, then you're just gonna get curb stomped by the people that do.
Hmm.
So now you have a game that's basically
so
useless if you don't spend
so
money.
so my issues with gacha is that it's the same with a lot of games that involve random chance in general. The problem is you can always argue, oh, but they're optional. But the problem is the game is deliberately built around the grind.
Hmm.
So yeah, fun fact. This is something that came out recently. Is I talked about this earlier, but it bears repeating for this episode. Actibliz, kind of they it was revealed that they had patented a system in which players would be players who didn't pay money would be matched up with when matched up in such a way that they were more or less guaranteed to lose because they were playing against people with a slightly higher like MMR. They would match up people who didn't pay with people who only had premium cosmetics to create a subconscious, and they had like a team of psychologists and stuff work this out to create this subconscious almost bias that people with premium things were more likely to win.
Hmm.
That sounds like a very Activision thing to do.
Oh, I've just found
Yeah.
a video on my YouTube recommendations. I don't know if you all follow Young Yeah, but he recently put out a video of only just a day ago that apparently in FIFA it takes about $110,000 or 2.5 in-game years to build a top tier team in FIFA Ultimate Team.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I never managed
Hmm.
that.
Which again, that's the thing though. Like games are deliberately built around this monetization because either you pay and get to the bits at a reasonable pace, or you take twice as much time and slog through bots. arguably usually like very bad gameplay.
Mhm.
Even when like you get the good stuff, the gameplay's still kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, is FIFA really that good to warrant paying so much money
No, it is not.
No, that's the
to
thing.
then
The reason
then
people do
make
it is
it
because it's
playable?
designed to prey on the human propensity for Skinner boxes and gambling.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about FIFA. FIFA is played, you know, a lot by kids, and that's, it's preying on them as well. That
I used
makes
to give
Yeah.
FIFA so
I used to give
objectionable for it.
I used to give my friend loads of crap because he'd actually like he knew his parents' credit card number, and he used to like braggingly as well, which was really like cringe. But he used to brag that like, oh, I take my dad's credit card and like buy card packs with his credit card, and it's like,
Mm.
bruh, really?
That's not
That's
cringe.
good.
That's just like criminal, and I don't like that. Is not someone worth being friends with at all.
I
That
mean,
totally
no,
doesn't sound like a disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, I don't speak with him anymore anyway, so
Mm.
kind of dodged
Fair
a bullet.
enough.
I mean, the height of my FIFA loot boxes was a friend's birthday. He'd gotten 50 quid for it, and he put it immediately into a FIFA pack, and got jack shit. And just his reaction was, I mean, we fucking filmed it, and the reaction was just, oh my god.
Oh
Because
god, that
it went so
You love to
horribly.
see
Big F.
I mean, you kind of walked right into that one, huh?
Yeah,
I'm
he
still
did.
really mad because in Genshin, I was saving my in-game the stuff you use to like get characters and stuff. I saved quite a bit, but
Hmm.
I knew that I wasn't close to like getting the guaranteed like result for the 5-star I wanted that was coming up.
Mm.
So I put in like I want to say like 20 quid, which would push me to the point where I would like I think just get me the the 5-star character I wanted that had just been on the banner. So I did all the wishes, saw the like, oh, in the loading thing, the 5-stars coming. It wasn't the character I wanted.
oh, you got spooked. Oh no.
Because in Genshin,
Classic.
in Genshin when it comes to banners, because I know a few gacha games are doing this as well, where they'll have a pity system.
Mm.
Where you do X amount of wishes, you get a guaranteed minimum rarity of like a certain thing. And
Yeah.
in Genshin, you do like every 10 wishes, you're guaranteed to get at least one 4-star thing. That could be a 4-star character or a 4-star weapon. But every 90 wishes would get you a 5-star. However, on Genshin, on the actual like limited character banners, there's a 50-50 chance every odd numbered set of like the guaranteed 5-star pity for it to be the character that isn't on the banner.
Oh, that's evil.
Oh boy, yeah, that's very
And
evil.
you know what's really bad though is the company MiHoYo who makes Genshin. The previous gacha game that's still being updated, Honkai Impact, doesn't have this system. So this
Huh.
is something they decided to put in the newest game, Genshin. But yeah, basically though, so like up to that point, every odd numbered set of 5-stars on the banners, I always had been lucky enough to get the character I wanted. And it was really upsetting to get this one character because like it was literally the worst 5-star the game could have given me. Any other 5-star would have actually been helpful, even if
That is-
that wasn't the character I wanted.
I'm getting
That's
some
sad.
flashbacks here.
Well,
I've
we
had
can
some more
get into
experiences.
gachas once we've finished talking about loot boxes because, yeah, I
That's,
mean just my experience with loot boxes. I mean, as said, my big issue with them is that they tend to be in games that are for all ages, and therefore you've got kids
Yeah.
and you've got teenagers who are putting so much money into them for validation in say friend groups or just
Oh
for the
yeah,
dopamine
like the
rush.
whole
Yeah,
oh, you
like if
have this
like
camo skin on your gun. You
Yeah,
can't be
like if
friends with us anymore.
not only that, but like you check the subreddits for those specific games, and you'll see people get a shit ton of karma for getting the thing they wanted
mm,
that like everyone's trying to get at that given time.
yeah.
Honestly, it's like a bragging rights thing at that point.
It really is.
And the worst part is that it works. Peer pressure is a very real thing,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, certainly for FIFA, worst thing is sometimes it doesn't even matter because if you're actually good player, it doesn't matter what fucking players you have in your team. You can still whoop anyone.
Which is just like the greatest tragedy of them all, then, isn't
Mhm.
it?
I mean, that's not to say the really good players don't still put like thousands and thousands of pounds into FIFA to get good teams because hey, they want to make sure that they'll win.
We call people like that whales.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wales.
Whales, everybody! Whales!
But I mean, anybody else have any loot box experience, or is it just mostly
I
me?
am
I am
thankfully
fortunately limited
Alright.
to just Overwatch, which I got into around between first and second year of college, and I fell off of after I graduated.
Mm.
So
I thankfully have never been interested in cosmetic only microtransactions. I really don't care what the character looks like as long as the character is something I enjoy. So I'm lucky in that
Fuzzy,
respect.
what if the loot box has some cool skins? What will I do if I don't have that ultimate awesome skin from that one character I really like?
Not it in.
Yeah, my sole like actual loot box experience is thankfully only limited to Overwatch,
Mm.
and in the end, it got to the point where like the grind to get loot boxes like was so awful, and it didn't help that like at the time they just introduced what I think is probably the worst character they ever added, which only killed my enthusiasm more.
Mm.
Which character was it?
Brigitte.
Oh, I thought she was
I
fine.
I single-handedly got to diamond rank in my first ever set of competitive matches, almost
Be fair,
exclusively using her.
be
She's
fair,
really
Kaido.
good, yeah.
Brigitte did make a lot of people a lot of money on Patreon, if you know what I'm saying.
Like, vanilla Brigitte was so fucking like cancer. It was so bad. Oh,
Broken as
I'm
fuck.
getting flashbacks just not thinking about it.
Here I was a solo Lucio main. That was his name, right? The fucking
Lucio, yeah.
yeah.
Yep, Lucian.
I hated Brigitte because I was a Reinhardt main, so she basically invalidated my main.
Oh, I made Reinhardt a lot too, but I fell
Yeah.
off around Brigitte's introduction, so.
I mean, in terms of
I wrote-
Overwatch, I had fun whenever because I was a very very aggressive Lucio who didn't hang back and fucking heal. I charged forward because I don't give a shit about first person shooters. I play
Chad.
to have fun. And so there would
You
there would
Chad.
actually
Honestly,
be
How
games
dare
where
you, man?
there would actually be games where I would have like
Dare
the
you
most
attempt to
kills
have
on my
fun.
team.
I mean, with me, it was
As
the
the
point
healer.
with Overwatch where I had to basically be in the zone and stop thinking. I essentially had to achieve Ultra Instinct to get consistent success in Overwatch.
I mean, that's
Eventually, he
that-
stopped thinking altogether.
and that's the thing. I'm so bad at first-person shooters that I never really give a shit about how well I'm doing on them.
Why do you think I played Reinhardt? I didn't like shooting. That's why I like bashing shit. It's very hard to like miss aiming a hammer in someone's face.
I never really enjoyed first person shooters all that much, so I fell off of Call of Duty well before they introduced loot boxes.
Same.
The
And
only
I
time
never
I
really
played
understood the appeal.
the only time I played COD was when I was forcefully invited to like a Christmas party, and like I played COD split screen with this kid that I only just met at that time, and I hated every single moment of it because I can't aim in first-person shooters as it is.
I mean,
Oh yeah, my aim is utter shit in those games.
It
it's
sounds
just
like y'all are mad because bad.
it's just that my reaction, my it's just that my reactions are terrible. So I would see somebody, and before I could, turn to them and shoot, I would be killed. Though I got
Yeah,
ra-
exactly.
Oh,
That
no,
was
no,
the
I am
problem.
absolutely of the people
I mean,
in
it's
this
not my
call. I'm
fault that
probably the
hitboxes
worst
are
at video
shit.
games in general.
But
It's
yeah,
not my fault that hitboxes are their shit.
yeah. But I got round that one head-to-head game with my brother by going prone and hiding in my corpses so that he couldn't see me. He
Oh,
would
God.
walk
The
past
only-
and I would knife him.
The only shooter game that I was
An
ever
interesting
proficient
strat.
at was a James Bond game, and that was because I used to do stupid shit that would let me get away with so much.
Oh, GoldenEye.
No, it was From Russia with Love, actually.
Oh really?
Wow, that's
yeah,
a
we had
deep cut.
we had a PS2 at school, and I used to beat everyone at it because I had the game knowledge to know where everything was. I deliberately threw grenades at myself so they'd bounce in such a way that they'd only catch my opponent and do
What?
I was
That's
constantly
What?
no lifing to an extent that I don't think I'm ready for.
often if I'm not constantly galaxy braining, then I'm constantly failing. Like that's my only two moods with anything anyway.
God.
Ironically, I also escaped FPS just in time for loot boxes, which was interesting. I used to play COD a lot, and then just before they introduced the escape, and now I get dragged back into Apex, which does have loot boxes. But now that I know Gotcha, they don't. But now that I know Gotcha, loot boxes don't do anything to me anymore. I've seen
Which
worse
really
hell than this.
is like replacing your is like replacing your heroin addiction with like a meth addiction.
Exactly.
No, Fuzzy, that's not the right way to put it. It's more like replacing a cigarette addiction with a heroin addiction.
Yeah, it's oh god,
Exactly.
Apex.
That's the fun part.
I feel
So many people I
glad.
follow.
I feel so glad I've never not gotten into this new generation of FPSs.
Boomer.
Same.
Okay,
I mean,
boomer.
it's fun. You can do random shit.
Kaido, I don't care. I will happily be called a boomer on this. I'm an old fogey when it comes to the new fads.
Honestly,
Aren't
Okay,
you
the,
at the
boomer.
same age?
I'm 23. I'm
23.
old.
yeah,
Being a boomer isn't about an age; it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
it really is. It's one thing that I do love though about the loot box and gacha culture. I love watching the videos of people reacting to stuff and they get the garbage pit, like the garbage. I remember seeing Giga get a 5-star in Genshin, and to be fair, he got arguably like the best two-handed sword in the game, but he wanted the character who could actually use two-handed swords. So it was the equivalent of like getting a car before you even have a driver's license.
They got also wail super hard to get a Stolfo and FGO.
Yeah, he paid like over $400 just to get this one 4-star, and he
What
got
the
like
fuck?
he got the
Yeah,
same
no.
free 5-star yeah, he got the same 5-star three
He
times
got
in a row.
Mordred. He got Mordred in like 3 rolls, and then he wound up wailing super hard to get a Stolfo.
I can't even say I don't believe that because I've had similar experiences with FGO.
Do we want to move on to
Thinking of video
gachas now? Because like I think
Yeah, at this
I think
point
we've said
we've
all
like
we
kind of
can.
exhausted loot boxes. Loot boxes really are a stepping stone.
Fuck loot boxes,
gacha,
all my homies
which is a
hate
frightening
loot
thought.
boxes.
Loot
Gacha
boxes.
baby.
Loot boxes
are a gateway
are the,
drug.
well, loot boxes are
Yes.
gateway and also the normie version of all of this stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
loot boxes are the stuff like as we've said, the COD and FIFA dicks will get into. We're the true whales.
Like-
We get into gachas and trading card games.
Speak for
We
yourself,
have
I still have not
full
fallen down the
fair.
gacha hole yet.
to use the drug
Yet.
to use the drug metaphor, loot boxes are cigarettes, trading card games are cocaine, and gachas are heroin.
So
Honestly, Coke, crack is cheaper.
Yeah.
This is a thing on TV tropes, and this is one of the most accurate things on TV tropes. Crack is cheaper.
Yeah.
It's
So
cheaper to do drugs, and you probably get more happiness chemicals out of them.
probably. So before we get into gachas properly, I think we should go around and say what our main gachas are. So Jack.
All right. The one I've been playing pretty much consistently since I got into them is Fate Grand Order.
Oh,
But
you
I
mean
also
filthy
have
gacha
played-
obsession?
Yes. I have
Ugh.
also played Magia Record and the Symphogear Gacha when those were still around, but those both closed. And I recently started the.
Oh, you know what? We haven't even talked about that aspect of it. Imagine putting like a bunch of money into a gacha, and then the servers shut down, and you lose everything.
They're gonna
Oh,
trigger
yeah,
my
that
PTSD.
That
It's
happens
like
sometimes.
it's just a reminder that gachas aren't permanent, right?
Mm.
You don't actually own anything that you pay for.
That's the plus about trading
I
card
will
games,
get
at
into
least.
it. I will get into the reason why it happened with the Symphogear and the Mega Records gachas in a bit. It's actually the same reason for both, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. The one I have consistently been playing for pretty much the whole time I've been in gacha has been FGO.
Tiago.
Okay, my main gachas tend to rotate a lot, just depending on like events going on. The ones I've played most consistently for the longest have been Girls Frontline, Azure Lane. FGO used to be in this list, but I haven't played in a while. But then as far as what I've played, that's a list. FGO, Girls Frontline, Arknight, Grand Blue, Princess Connections recently. I started a Umizumi gacha now that it's finally out. The Damachi gacha, Bang Dream. What else is here? I did play the Symphogear gacha when it came out, and I'm very sad it closed.
I think
Yeah,
it was
those
only out
were
for
the
like
ones I
6
played the
months.
most. Yeah, it was up. No, it
Hey.
was less than that. It
How do
came.
you
Well, it
have,
was
like,
always
how have you not filed for bankruptcy?
I told you he's a veteran.
And I don't think I've even covered all the ones I've played specifically. I've played more than that, but I keep forgetting a couple of them.
It's fine. I think that'll do. Kaido, we don't need to cover because we
I
know
think we
he's
get the idea.
Yeah, Kaido, we don't need to cover because he's a filthy Genshin Impact player.
Yeah, I feel I'm the only person who's played Genshin. I wanted to get in FGO when I heard it was finally coming to the West, but I also just gave up searching for it because I couldn't find it on the store at the time. I also want to get into Princess Connect because I know some VTubers have put the stuff behind it. And like
This
the
Connect is
opening,
actually pretty fun.
Yeah,
the
It requires
opening,
minimal wailing.
I believe the opening for the anime is actually sung by a VTuber as well.
No, it's not. No. It was one of VTuber just had a song and collab with them with the opening.
Oh,
itself.
that was it. Yeah, but still, like, yeah, I'm pretty much only actually playing Genshin.
Fuzzy, as he has said, has managed to avoid gachas. Lucky you. Me,
For now.
let's see. So I had a period of time where I played the Western gachas. So the Simpsons mobile game,
Oh God!
Oh God!
Game of Thrones
Why?
mobile game. Might have played the Family Guy one for a little while as well. This is back when I was a teenager. More recently,
SSR Cleveland.
more recently,
Really hard to have any sympathy for you at that point, Mel.
more recently, I spent more than I should have on the Black Clover Gacha, and have managed to extricate myself from that one. Thankfully, God, I'm so glad I got out of that when I did. Oh, I spent so much money on that. I also played the Mob
rip.
Psycho Gacha, but I never actually spent. I don't think I spent any real money on that one, mostly because I never really needed to.
Were y'all not in the Dragon Ball Gacha train?
No,
No.
I managed to avoid that one. I did download it, but then
Oh,
it was just so
good God,
complicated
no.
that I just went, fuck this.
Yeah, I may have problems with some of the mechanics of the other gachas I played, but at least they're not as obtuse as the Dragon Ball gachas mechanics. Like Hell, I almost got into the One Piece gacha at one point, and I was like, "Oh, that's a rabbit hole I will never get out of."
I
Nope.
I downloaded it, but then I realized it was a gacha and went, no, I don't want to get in this. I don't want to get into this
Like
at
I
all.
said, that's a rabbit hole that neither of us would come out of.
Oh,
I
I
on
forgot
don't
the
to
even
speak-
I would have managed to avoid that particular addiction. So
I forgot. Speaking of gacha, actually, there was a whole stink about gacha a while ago, because on the Google Users Choice Awards for 2020, Genshin, Arc Knights, the Seven Deadly Sins game, all those three gachas were up against each other to see who was, the Google's Choice Award.
Mhm.
However, they all lost to clearly the best gacha of them all, SpongeBob, Krusty Cooker.
Oh
no.
God.
that's hilarious and like honestly just
On the
poetic.
record, SpongeBob is actually better than Genshin, Fate, and not Fate. Yeah, Genshin, Arc Knights, and Seven Deadly Sins. You've heard it here.
Yeah, just
Are you
going back to
playing
the
it?
just going back to the One Piece gacha. Even the author Oda spent a ton of money trying to get a super rare Shanks.
Just why can he not just like hit up the publishers and then be like, "Yo, can you just give me a God account?"
Like
Well,
there was
where's the
like,
there
fun of
was
it?
there was an interview with him, like, and somebody asked him, so in the end, did the rare gachas come out? And he said, yes, but the others were mostly trash. I played it while thinking, I was the one who created them. Why am I doing this?
Honestly,
Right? Like, can he not just call up his agent and be like, "Yo, can I just have a God account for the? I'll do a promotion and everything. Just I need these Shanks."
you know what's really upsetting is that Yakuza has a gacha game,
Oh no.
and most of the people in my groups know I'm a massive Yakuza fan. And it's a good thing it'll never come to the West, because fuck me, that would consume me.
I was gonna
It's not even
say
good, but I'd get into it.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
no, that
you'd
would
survive
bankrupt you.
that, Kaido.
Oh, I forgot my
You
other. I forgot my the rest of my experience with gacha. When I was in Japan, I did try actual gacha machines.
Oh my God.
Let's see. I tried the worst one.
Was that the one were they the gotcha machines at the sex shop or like?
No, I didn't try those. I did have a friend who tried that and got a mini fleshlight and a packet of lube. That was quite fun.
Wait, a mini fleshlight. How does that?
I
work?
don't know.
What?
Okay, I don't know. I don't
How
know.
does
Do
one
you want a
make
real
use
answer?
of one of those?
I don't know how
shit,
it works. I don't want to know how it works. I just
No,
know that he got it.
That's really tough.
No,
I forgot I have kind of played another gacha game, actually.
What?
How familiar are people with Dinosaur King?
What the hell is that?
What?
Basically,
Wait, I feel like I know what you're talking about, but
Did it have a
Oh my
mid
God.
2000s anime?
Yeah, it did. It
Oh
had a
my
lot of,
god,
like,
I know what you're talking about.
a lot of the actors, like, you would hear from, like, Pokemon in it. And yet, basically, it was an
Oh my God, I
arcade-based
remember
card game.
this.
You put money in, and you'd get a random card. I hated that. I loved it, and I also hated it because I always got, like, the fucking garbage cards. The only time I ever got rare cards is when I would trade with the kids, because I'd only ever get to play it on holiday. And that was literally the only thing I'd do on holidays is, no, fuck you, Mum and Dad, I want to play Dinosaur King.
So yeah, so with the gacha machines in Akihabara specifically, I did a Promised Neverland one, got an Emma phone charm pretty much immediately, so I was very happy about that. It's actually currently on my phone case right now.
Do you look at it when you get ready to watch The Promised Neverland
Oh,
season 2?
don't get me fucking started on that.
Wait, what's this about?
Promised Neverland season
I
2
think I'm
sucks. Read the manga instead.
Oh god.
No, they
Oh,
did that to it.
Read the manga.
They fucking
Yeah,
they
no.
fucking shoved the entire rest of the content into an 11 episode season.
Oh god, no.
Jesus.
They
Yeah.
just skipped Goldie Pond. They skipped like half the manga, and they compressed the remaining content into just like 11 episodes.
Is this one of
That's
those
just
moments where they
criminal.
do it
Anyway.
right once and then you just decided now, let's fuck it?
Anyway,
I don't fucking know.
the other two gacha machines that I went on for the most part were worse. So first was the Hinamaru Sumo one, which were like, I'm not even sure what the fuck they are, like bandanas or flags or what, something like that. I played it 4 times and got 2 characters twice. But then probably the worst one. I shouldn't have done this, but to spite one person in particular on our not spite them, but to lightly tease them, I played the review Starlight Gacha multiple times.
Oh no! He must have been so upset.
Oh,
I
Tofu was
missed
not
that
happy.
interaction.
Tofu was not happy.
Oh god, the review Starlight Gotcha. I took one look at that and I noped out.
Do
Are
I
we
Crane
was
talking
not
about real life gacha or the gacha?
like the are you talking about the real life one? Or are you talking about the game one?
Oh, the real life one.
No.
It was a real life machine
Ah.
with like review Starlight phone charms.
Oh wow.
Uh.
Which one did you get out of it?
Oh, I got multiples. So I got.
Oh, he must have been so upset.
He was. I got Nana. I got.
Oh no!
I got Worst Girl Hikari, and I think I got Mahiru as well.
If you'd gotten
If I'd
both,
gotten Claudine,
Nana
he-
and
if
if you'd gotten both Nana and Juna, I think he might have had an aneurysm.
no, if I'd gotten Claudine, he would have actually tried to kill me through a screen.
Right. He's the Claudine and Maya guy.
Though if I'd gotten Claudine, I would have actually mailed it to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's beside the point. Do crane games count as count in this category?
Oh yes.
Because I
No,
spent a
just
lot
like
of
more
money
games.
with
we
very
should
little
talk
reward.
about the Keymaster stuff and the Crane games, because that's kind of something that's existed for even longer and is basically just that, but it makes you pretend. It's even worse somehow because it pretends it's skill based when it's not.
Mm.
I mean, it can be skill based if you know exactly how it works. It's just not skill
I
based.
mean,
the
no,
way you
it can be
think
skill
it is.
based as long as the people who own it set it to
No,
skill
no,
based.
no. I mean, in the sense that like there are actual strategies you can do. It's just like it's not the way you think you should play it. It's actually
mean,
not. It's actually a
The
different way.
the single strategy. I played a bunch of crane games in Akihabara as well. And the only time I got a reward from it was the strat is wedge the prize you want, get an attendant to come and put it in a completely advantageous position, and then get it. That's how I won my super big Deku figure.
I know Sea Dog GA basically did that in his one of his most recent videos about crane games.
That's pretty much
God,
like I think I was like maybe I can't remember if my friends who I was traveling with actually won anything, but like we spent a lot of money on crane games for very little reward.
I learned at a very young age not to play crane games because good
Same.
god.
Yeah, they're not worth it.
They're not worth it.
The only experience I really have for crane games nowadays is when I play Yakuza.
Oh yeah.
I know those
Closest
games
I
are gonna
have
be the
nowadays
death
is
of you, I
Horse
swear.
Girls Gotcha.
Oh god.
Horse Girls Gotcha has a crane game minigame and is exactly just as stupid as real life crane games.
God.
Which again is just like at that point, I feel like it's probably just like throw your money in a shredder. At that point, it's probably more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I got a success out of it. I got a Deku figure. I'm happy. Like I could go my entire life not playing another crane game. And just ending on that.
We know you
high.
won't.
Oh, I
Realistically
probably
speaking, like
if there was
Mil,
you know
Like,
if there was the right prize, of course I absolutely would. But
what if it was asked on Nagisa?
I would do it for Nagisa. I would absolutely do it for
You
Nagisa.
do a lot for Nagisa, let's be real.
Oh, I would. If there was an S class gacha, I would be so fucking screwed.
Could also
Don't
be
say
there
that.
was
We're
a
gonna
Hero
make one come into
Akagata.
existence.
Oh god, Hero Akagach would be awful. That
I'm
would be
fairly
so
sure there is
painful
one
to, like-
being developed.
There probably is one that just
I
hasn't
remember
come
s-
to the West just
I
yet.
remember seeing a story from Crunchyroll about it, and I remember going,
My
"Oh
Hero
dear, sweet
Academia.
salty Christ, no!"
I forgot the newest Tales of game that recently came out on mobile is also a gacha, which was really disappointing because it actually had a lot of potential, and I love the Tales of series.
Just
Ugh.
like
So I'm just gonna start talking about my experience with the Black Clover gacha, which was probably the worst one, because
just saying
I mean-
something,
Oh
really.
boy.
well, not the worst gacha I ever played. That would probably be any three of the trio that I played as a teenager because they really were predatory. But
Oh god.
because those the Black Clover one, I just fell into it so hard because every time there would new character would come out, I would try and get it, and eventually I was spending so much money on it, and even when I wasn't spending ridiculous amounts of money, I was barely even enjoying the game because to actually like maximize the amount of in-game currency I was getting so that I wouldn't have to spend so much, like I would have to like schedule the play session so that I would, wouldn't waste any time between fucking energy runouts. Like,
Good lord, not even
That's-
MMOs have that level of
No.
min
I'm
maxing
pretty
that you
sure
have to
most
do.
most gachas have that if you really want to try hard enough.
Yeah, most gachas have like a lot of there's a lot of farming and grinding.
There's
in
like
gacha.
a reason the term no lifing exists.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, that's not unique to gacha. Any game that has any mechanic.
I mean-
where
Yeah,
you
but
can
like
here's-
most
really
no
life.
life games only cost you time. Gachas
Here-
also cost
yeah.
you money.
here's the other thing.
I mean,
Here's the other thing. It came at the worst possible period because it got released. I think it was at the start, either at the end of 2019 or the start of 2020. So when I was
Oh,
really getting
no.
into it was lockdown. So I had
Oh,
nothing else to
no.
do.
oh no.
I had nothing else to do.
How did I
Uh,
felt with
who?
Genshin? I've had to put money into Genshin because it came out in lockdown. Oh god.
Ironically, the
probably
only
talk
reason I
about
didn't
the,
get any attention. What?
We should probably talk about like the different mechanics of gacha and how they work to screw you over in different ways, and like
Oh,
the
boy.
few good designs of them. Because the first thing that comes to mind is the rates and rate ups
Oh,
Yeah, this is
God.
the
on the
obvious one.
gacha roll.
Yeah.
Looks at Grand Order.
Oh
I
god.
believe
1%
believe-
SSR rate, no pity system.
Yeah, Grand Order
Genshin-
has one of the most unforgiving systems.
I think Grand
Gen-
Order might be the most unforgiving one I've seen, just by
Well-
virtue of having so many a
Yeah,
combination
there's
of
so many
real
SSRs.
things. No, I mean
Not to
more in the sense
mention,
that
like-
like it has the triple trait of having really low SSR rates, no pity system, and a really stupidly scarce currency. Like you don't get a lot that many rolls in Grand Order for like how small the rates are.
Well, I know Genshin has for the 5 stars for anything, it is 0.6%.
Is it per SSR or for an SSR in general?
That's just to get like the 5-star pulls.
Oh wow.
That could be anything. So that could be a 5-star weapon, and I've had 5-star weapons before for characters that don't need it.
See, FGO has two things in its gacha. It has craft essences and servants. The craft essences are basically equipped things that you put on the servants that give us special effects like boosting attack or defense or whatnot.
Let's be
And,
real.
So
the reason people
both
play
in the same
FGO is
gacha.
for the waifus.
For the story. Yeah, but you're right.
Story is actually fairly
Like,
good.
Yeah, the story is
also,
good. The
After you
gameplay
get
is
through
just
the
shit.
first
I
couple
also find
chapters.
it
The
deeply
gameplay is
ironic that Fate as a series didn't really like the waifu Fate train didn't really take off until after it stopped being a porn series.
yeah, that is kind of ironically funny.
I mean, it's because originally it
I
was
mean, to be
only
fair, not being a porn game just means more people to look at it.
it,
So
Yeah,
it makes
it
that's
it
was
the
only
easier.
thing though, is that like
the only reason it was
I'm betting that now that
because it
it's not a porn game and people actually have invested in their waifus, I bet
Right.
they wish it was a porn game.
they don't
Still.
need to.
That's what
They
the
don't have
dojins
to
are
wish.
for.
That's what dojins are for.
Yeah, got enough Dojinshi to do that.
That's fair. Really, that's very fair.
Wasn't Grand Order already like one of the top most common
It's
dojin
probably
things?
the single most dojined property.
It is not.
If
It
not,
is not.
Out of all the
It is
gotchas,
not.
out of all the
Out of all the
gotchas,
gotchas, probably.
yeah, out of all the gotchas, I think it's number one by a comfortable margin in terms of dojin count.
Yeah, I think
the Grand Blue
uh,
Fantasy is pretty up there as well. That's one we haven't really talked about because it's like one of those things that it seems much less objectionable until you realize that it's not any less
I mean,
objectionable.
Granblue is kind of the opposite of Grand Order, and the gameplay is more active, and the gacha is a lot more forgiving. Like Jesus Christ, it like the gacha is the exact opposite of Grand Order because it has really generous rates, has a pity system, and they give you currency like there's no tomorrow. Like I swear to God, they just dump currency on you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think
What's the problem that you stated?
What?
What's the problem with Grand Blue then?
I don't. I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm just saying like it's the opposite of Grand Order in that it doesn't actually try to kill you. The
yeah,
Well,
I
the
think
closest to the problem we have is that while the gacha is a lot more forgiving, the gameplay is very more involved. So it is very grindy if you actually want to get into it.
yeah, that'll do it.
It's like I see people in our clubs like that actually play that seriously, and it's like the guilds would actually in like certain like PvP events they would actually have like schedules and like punch cards, and I'm like, what the fuck?
No.
Yeah, FGO doesn't actually have PvP. It's all single player.
That's the one of the reasons why I would kind of forgive Geo. It's like if you it doesn't have that much reason to go super try hard if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't really get
Another
anything
thing
out
with
of it.
FGO is that you, for most of it, you do not need like high rarity servants to actually clear most of the story stuff.
Yeah,
And
but to be
you
fair,
can
it
get by
makes
with
it
the
a
prince
lot
rewards.
easier.
Yeah, and it also helps that like they do upgrade the various characters from time to time.
Yeah.
But then there's I remember there was one other gacha that you basically had to have one specific character as part of the meta, otherwise you were kind of screwed. And I forget which gacha that was.
For
I feel like that could
PvE?
describe a lot of gachas potentially.
Wasn't
I
he
think it was
playing
Fire
actually?
Emblem Heroes or something.
Oh, Fire Emblem. Was
But we
Fire
haven't
Emblem
even talked about that mess.
didn't Fire Emblem have what was it a power creep problem?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I don't remember. I have never played either Grand Blue or Fire Emblem Heroes, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I didn't play Fire Emblem Heroes, but that's just what I heard. That it has a bad habit of just power creeping everything, like all the time.
That's not great.
It really is just
Yep.
in their best interests. Think about it.
Yeah, the thing with at least most of the gachas I've played is that most every character is at least some degree of viable, even the really shitty low tier ones, with enough like coordination and support. So, in some other games, like you really don't have that. You straight up have characters that are outright useless, even despite their rarity.
Yeah, that's. I, I love Genshin, but the problem is that like the for some reason they have this obsession with only adding DPSs for the temporary 5-star characters.
Oh boy.
The only two 5-star support characters are the characters who have already been in the base game, which is fine because if you want supports that are really good, it's nice that they're permanent. But it's literally only those two, and if you don't get them anyway, because there's no banners that give them rate ups, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but a lot of some games have a welfare system, others do not.
Looks
Like
at FGO.
FGO does give away welfare servants with some events, but that's
Oh,
about it.
you mean actual welfare? You mean welfare? I heard pity system.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, you just heard wrong.
yeah. Some gachas have a welfare system where they have events or other things where they give away characters or weapons or whatnot.
Support, yeah, that kind of thing.
So what you're saying is that gachas have more social welfare than the United States of America.
Hey,
That's a low bar.
I mean, that's not hard
that bar
when the
is
US.
beneath the ground. That is
Yeah.
subterranean.
Look, I had to do it.
No, you did. I get you. I respect that. But yeah, no, most gachas do have some degree of either pity system or welfare to kind of keep players invested and to keep players from
yes.
failing entirely.
Yeah,
because it's
it's the same thing with
they're
drugs, right? The first shot is always free, and sometimes
No,
they give
I mean,
you
like-
freebies just to keep you coming
yeah.
back.
Sorry to interrupt. I've just been doing
Oh,
some
got
googling,
it.
and the Black Clover Gacha got shut down in December.
Oof.
Oh dear.
I've kept it around.
Speaking of
Just,
shutdown gachas, we should probably talk about that.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
we should. And the fact that how much money have you permanently lost, Mil, because you don't even own the pixels anymore?
I did not keep track because it would depress me too much.
Honestly,
It's safe to
that's
say
been my
far more
approach.
than you should have.
Far more than I should have is completely correct. Yes.
Just making sure.
God.
Far more than I should have is entirely correct, which is why I stopped playing in the first place. I'm just gonna check if the Mob mobile game is still around.
Oh no.
Yeah, of
I
the
think it
5
is.
gacha games I've played, 2 of them have been shut down.
Oh, no.
The Magia record and the Symphogear one. At least the English
EN version
localizations.
specifically. Yeah, just
Yeah,
the
the
EN
English
version.
localizations got shut down. The JP versions are still ongoing. But
That's
the
another
reason
thing is that, for better or for
the-
worse, it seems like U.S. versions tend to be like the U.S. seems to be a bit less susceptible to the gacha train.
Well, no,
Yeah,
like
part
the
of
because
it
West
they're busy
is
with
in
that
loot box.
there's
They're
a
busy with
specific
loot
reason that
boxes and
those
trying to
two shut
pay
down.
for healthcare.
There's a
You know
reason
what?
two of them
That's fair.
Fuzzy. There's a reason that at least the 2 I'm talking about shut down. Well, one of the contributing factors at least was basically both games basically rushed through a shitload of events on each
Right.
server to try to catch up to the Japanese version. And basically the constant onrush of banners and events and all that just tired out a bunch of people who wound up quitting because of it.
Yeah, that was a horrible idea. I remember specifically when the Symphogear Gacha came out, it was like it took like
It was
a week or
nonstop
two for the
events.
first. Yeah, it was like a week or two for the first event. I think it was the Attack on Titan event, and those events are super grindy. And I think they had like a banner every like 2 days, so it was really fucking insane.
Yeah,
What?
Which is really just mismanagement because like if you look at the successful ones, like that have like the different servers like Grand Order, Line, etc. All of them have like a big delay between the translated version and the original version, and that's perfect.
So there's probably one mobile game that I've considered getting into seriously that I don't know if it's a gacha, but it probably is considering the fact that it's Japan.
Genshin.
I think a lot of people can sympathize. Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, and
Yeah.
now
Oh, boy.
Dark Road.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, I haven't because I'm not at all into Kingdom Hearts yet. But yeah, I can
it's
understand
on PC now.
So-
Oh, neither you nor Logstar has experienced it, so we should have you guys play through it together.
I do have it. Do have the like entire set on my PS4. So if you can get a capture card, that could be
Mill,
something to
save
do.
yourself. Enjoy a good franchise.
What, like Yakuza that fucking annoyed me so much I haven't touched Kiwami for it for like a month? No, more than
That's because
3 or 4 months.
That's because OG Yakuza's just bad anyway, and Kiwami literally did nothing to make any meaningful improvements.
What you're saying is play Kiwami first and then play Zero.
Oh, I've already played
Just
Zero.
Just play Kiwami 2. Just skip to it. It's so good.
Also,
The story, the lore.
Also, I've googled it, and yes, in fact, My Hero had a beta of a mobile game back in November.
Oh no.
And now there is a
we're
website
in
saying
for it now, Mel.
pre-register and download. No, I think I'd like to think that I am.
no.
I'd like to think that I am mentally strong enough that I won't download it in the first place.
That's what
I
they all
mean,
say.
I'm
it'll
sure you are,
probably.
right?
That's what they all.
It'll probably be better than both the console My Hero Academia games, which isn't very hard.
I know.
But
Can you not just have an Attack of the Saiyan style Shonen Jump adaptation for once?
No, we can't. But to make things worse, I am I am currently downloading the Magatsu Verite game onto my phone.
Why?
Why?
Because I want to see what it's like. I'm not actually going to put any money into it. I swear. I'm not that desperate to learn what happens in this. But
But
after
this is
the
going to
anime,
be on record.
That's
after
what
the
they
This
all
is
anime-
going to be on
say.
record. So if you do end up spending money on it, we will.
Oh, you won't let me
We'll
forget
have
it. I'm
proof.
sure. I'm sure. But I wanna. After the anime, I wanna see what it's about. Like the anime was really good.
Yeah, it was a lot better than I expected it to be, especially for a game tie-in.
Question actually, if you could pick any IP that you like to have a gacha game, what would it be that would actually get you into it?
Assassination Classroom.
Ooh.
I
Instantly.
wouldn't want to pick one because it would mean I would have to get into a gacha.
I mean, yes. I mean, the one that I most want to get a gacha is something like fucking Shield Hero, because I know that I won't
It already
spend
has
money
it,
on
I'm
it.
Have a
pretty
gacha?
sure.
It probably.
I'm pretty sure that
does.
has.
Cradle.
Oh,
you know-
you're right. Oh my god.
Somebody
Mill, can
tweet
you
Will
imagine if
White.
there was a Cradle gacha?
Oh, Fuzzy.
Don't most such franchise have gacha at this point? I feel like.
A lot-
SSR Ether.
I'm pretty sure there's Marvel games too.
Yeah, there's plenty of Marvel gachas. There have been for years. Marvel was actually a very early adopter of the gacha system.
Fuzzy. Oh, Cosmere gotcha.
Ah!
Honestly,
No.
that reminds me. I really wanted to get into the Bleach gacha when I found out that was a thing. But I'm also glad I haven't. That's the problem. I'd get into more gacha games, but I feel like I'd get into them way too late for me to want to care.
Yeah, I can see that.
I really hate dealing with FOMO. I only got into Genshin because my brother decided to download it on the PS4 on a whim, and like decided to put it on my account as well to make me play it.
The only reason I don't get into gacha is because I physically don't have time.
Honestly, yeah, that's
Yeah.
been part of the concern and part of the reason I haven't gotten into more of them. Like, I've heard, I considered getting into, I think it was Girls Frontline at one point, and I was like, I do not
do
have
it.
the time for this.
Just do it.
So
I mean, to be fair,
no.
the strategy I go with is like start playing and then just like whenever there's a big event, just come back. Just forget the game exists otherwise. Seasonal play. It's
So-
like my Grand Blue strategy. I barely play the game. I just like I hear, oh, they're giving out free rolls again. I'm coming back.
Two things. So, first, as of 2019, Fate Grand Order has grossed over $4 billion American dollars worldwide.
Yep.
Just disgusting.
Genshin's making insane amount.
Power of PNG.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna look up Genshin now and see if they've got a
I'm googling.
Funny
it.
enough,
They should.
the only reason I didn't
Oh.
get into Genshin properly is because they don't have controller support on
Over
mobile.
I found an
874 million American dollars by March
It's
2021.
been out for like less than a fifth of the time as brand FGO, so there's a good chance it's gonna overtake FGO.
Yeah.
Genshin's done really well
Possibly.
for itself. Honestly, like the thing I love about Genshin as well is the fact that it's like an actual like RPG sort of game.
Mm.
Because the reason
Yeah, so
I've
I've heard that's the only reason I've considered getting into Genshin is that it's a game,
it's
right?
why I
It's like
don't-
an actual video game.
It's like I really wanted to get into FGO, and part of the reason why I gave up on it anyways because I saw the gameplay and was like, it's not really for me.
Mm.
Well, it is really shit.
I don't
Jesus.
like that sort of typical gacha gameplay. Whereas with Genshin, it feels like an actual RPG with like a gacha sort of built on the outside. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
The other
Only
one
the
that I
head
want, or
controller
the other,
support.
the other thing I want to mention that we haven't mentioned yet, Pokemon Go.
Oh,
Ah.
no,
Goes
that
wrong,
doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Really,
Yes,
I
That's
don't
not
think it
in
counts. It's
Gacha.
not nearly as
There is an
predatory as a
actual
lot of the other ones,
There
unless
is
you
a Pokemon
really get
Gotcha.
into it.
There
Yeah.
is a Pokemon Gotcha. Pokemon
Yeah,
Master.
it's called Pokemon Masters. Yeah.
But it's still, you still
do
pay,
have that.
Also, the
you can
one
still
that
pay
servers
real
burned
money for it. Is the
multiple
thing.
times.
That's the thing.
Yes,
Also,
it is
with
hard to progress to certain levels without paying real money. You're right.
Also
about
with
that.
Go, there is actually like a random chance element into it that can involve paying, which is the Pokemon eggs. Because the thing is with the Pokemon eggs, they're objectively better than Pokemon you normally can catch, and some of them involve walking 12 kilometers to hatch.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I remember
and,
that. That was stupid.
And there was a Kotaku article recently that defended them, saying they're fun presents.
Wow.
Which just brings back the
Uh,
vibes of that one EA executive that said loot boxes are actually like surprise
Surprise
mechanics.
So yeah, so
Uh,
can I just
Remember the
point,
sense of pride and accomplishment?
yeah, can I just point out as well? At the end of 2020,
That's-
the game's lifetime revenue was $6.46 billion. So don't
Which
tell
is
me
it?
it's not a gacha. This is Pokemon Go.
Okay, you know what? That's
I mean, it
fair.
depends on how you define gotcha.
I mean, for the purposes
Honestly,
of
you should have
this,
called-
it is a game that you have to pay, or that you can pay real money to get stuff in. That is not
No, it's
not
a
like a
game
That's
DLC.
a, that's a
Pay
very
real money
by
to
that
get stuff
definition.
in.
Every
Random
pay-to-win
factor,
game is a
Right?
gotcha.
That's the thing. The thing that makes gotchas different from generalized microtransactions is that it's random.
Yeah, it's gambling. It is
That's
glorified.
the thing, is that like with microtransactions, I can at least respect it, right? Like to some extent, I understand. I hate it, but I understand, right? You just pay, you buy the thing you want. Gotchas don't let you do that. You buy a chance to get the thing you want, which is just all sorts of fricked up.
I
Yeah,
still
no.
think there is definitely a criticism to be made of freemium games.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Let me
ironically,
talk
I
about a
think premium
premium game
games
I've been
are-
into recently. Oh, Let
Oh.
It Die. It's on PS4 and PC. Basically, it's a sort of tower climbing Souls-like roguelite. But the thing is, it's like there's so much of the game. You can do the entire game without spending a single cent, but so much of the convenience is locked behind a paywall.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Simpsons and Game of Thrones games that I played when I was a teenager were about. Like, you would pay money to get more energy to do more stuff, and oh god.
Imagine one of your favorite games suddenly being like gachified or like microtransactionified, like with loot boxes. Like imagine Dark Souls, but you have to pay actual money to get a chance to be able to put down a bonfire somewhere.
Kaido, don't give them ideas.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I believe.
I mean, that's evil, even for gacha games.
I'm trying to think of really like nasty examples.
Honestly, a
Oh,
lot of gacha are
Fighting
nasty.
games, but you have to pay to get the random chance for a combo to not drop because like
Ah!
Sounds gross.
D&D, but to actually
No.
Oh, stop.
No.
None of that.
gacha
Shame
by
on you.
D&D. If you
No.
guys, if Mill, if you
I'm
give me
pretty sure
20
that
quid via
some variant
Mill, if
that
you give me 20
actually
quid
already exists.
Mill, if you give me
Probably.
20 quid via PayPal, you'll have the chance to be able to get a staff of power.
I'm sure someone does that somewhere.
Felix.
If you look hard enough, they'll certainly. I'm sure there's gonna be a D&D group that actually does that.
I've actually read
I
a
mean, there's
story
paid
about that.
DMs and
actually.
stuff, right? Like, you can pay people to.
You actually say that, Ty, but yeah, I remember reading a story about that where someone actually managed to gachify D&D.
Huh.
Of course they did.
I mean, isn't D&D technically just free? Just gacha but free.
Oh, for a certain value of free.
Kinda ish. Hard to say. What can be said is that it does have there is always that element of chance involved.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I think still worth knowing that like the examples we mentioned. I think still at least gotchas usually they limit themselves to having the random chance. Like as far as the part that money actually changes, usually they limit themselves to being mostly just like character and equipment acquisitions. You most of the time there's no like in-game things you can do with money, which I think is the main difference between that and like a freemium thing. Where it's like in a
Yeah.
freemium you might have all the characters, but then you pay money for like actual gameplay advantages, like more direct advantages, like a double damage or something. A gacha is more like you can pay money to get more characters, but in the game itself you just have to do what you can with what you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, you kind of
This is
just
the
have to
main
live with it
distinction, I think.
to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
yeah, that's just the main distinction, I think. Like, what exactly is the part you're expected to pay for?
Yeah, that does seem to be the main difference between the pay to win and the gacha is that's like in a lot of gachas you don't need to constantly roll the gacha or just pay to gain an advantage because there's usually enough elements that are inherent to what you have to get by.
But
Whereas
Jack,
in
I wanted Asta in a nice suit. What else was I supposed to do? Just let it go?
no, of
There's
course
no
not.
need
You were
for
supposed
that.
to pay more.
Yeah,
I mean, you could follow a good anime series. Like, I'm trying to really meme hard then, but I can't even bring myself to do that.
I mean, it's even going to that topic. Like, you even have like the different types of gacha. Like some types of gacha, you effectively don't have a reason per se to really spend money. Like you mentioned, Girls Frontline. That like that style of game, well, which is like Girls Online, or if you count that Kantai Collection. Whereas like none of them, most of the money part, is not actually. It's actually more closely related to like the cosmetic side. It's like most people don't spend in Girls Online because everything is like all the characters and equipment, everything. It's all stuff you actually just get from normal gameplay, or you do have resources, but you have plenty enough of them that's like you don't really buy them most of the time. The gacha in that one is literally just so that's one of the cases where like it's a lot more closer to cosmetic loot boxes. You don't have much of a gameplay reason to spend it.
Mm.
And it's still technically considered a gacha.
I'd cry if Genshin added cosmetics.
They will eventually.
Eventually.
Oh,
Even
no.
Grand Order has them now.
Yeah, no, they've explicitly stated Genshin has done something really, really crappy. They've cracked down on mods. because they don't want people to get mods instead of paying for them.
I mean, the
Recently,
entire
actually-
reason I don't play Genshin well, one of the reasons that I don't want to install it on my computer because I don't want to play an RPG with with a kernel level
It-
anti-cheat. Like,
It's
why?
really bad
Fuck your
recently.
anti-mod addiction.
It's bad with Genshin though, because recently they only just put out the newest update like 2 days ago. And people have already like found the development code for the game and leaked stuff for the next update.
I mean, that's usual gotcha games. Like,
Yeah,
In
but I
that
mean,
game,
like,
you
all
just
gotcha games, people leak everything
yeah,
before
but what I mean
comes out.
is
It's
though is
impressive.
like, it's like massive leaks and it's like stuff that like is like also includes like big spoilers, which is really funny. But yeah,
I must say, like, at that point, that's not the consumer's fault.
the,
Yeah.
the
Right?
funny
Like, that's
thing,
not the fan base's fault at that
the
point.
bad
You just
thing
need
is
to...
that
don't blame people for whaling constantly because like it's a straight up gambling addiction, and blaming them is kind of victim blaming.
the bad thing is though of the leaks is that like it's
No.
actually
I was talking about... Yeah. No. Okay.
but the bad thing is though of these leaks is that people have actually like not even caring about the current update. They already want the new update.
That's just kind of the nature of the beast, right? That's not just a gotcha issue.
Yeah.
You know, leaks are effectively inevitable these days. Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Uh,
Hmm. Yeah, honestly, like the thing with gotcha is that more than anything else, it's just straight up addictive if it's depending on how it's handled.
Even not necessarily just depending on how it's handled. Sometimes it's like it can be addictive even when it's not intentional. So it rarely is unintentional. There are
Yeah,
rare
I think
cases
part
where
of it
it's...
is just like how much you just get attached to something. Like if you just happen to get really attached to a particular character, then that's GG, no matter what the developer's intention was.
Yeah, it's just kind of like after a certain point, there's not much you can do to mitigate the problem factors, right? There's like, and you just have to live with it. Is unfortunate, like on a number of deep, like philosophical levels.
Yeah, people will find ways to screw themselves over because of like, they just will. The developers can or cannot uh push you to make these bad decisions, but people will find ways.
Yeah, like for example, if we look at like the first gotchas or the first MMOs or freemium games, I'm sure they didn't exactly like a lot of them. I'm sure didn't intend to make it as like exploitative as possible, right? People just got addicted, and then people saw that it was something that could make people addicted, and they kind of just ran with it.
Oh yeah, this is good you mentioned it. Like, if you look at some like MMOs or games like you're not supposed to to like games that you're not supposed to really be spending money on, like you have games where they explicitly try to prevent people from like trading like collectibles and things. So you're supposed to actually play for it. You're not meant to like pay for it. They even try to prevent you from doing that to other
And then
people.
people
But like
spend money on it
people,
anyway.
yeah, people will find ways around that just so they can spend money on those things.
Basically, humanity is dumb as a species.
Yeah, yeah. It's more like people tend to like when people feel like they want something, they just really want it, and depending on the person, they just like they will just do whatever to get it. And if that combines with someone not being able to do it in the normal way, or just being lazy, that just combines into okay, I guess I'll just spend money on it. As dumb as it is.
It's just like there's a lot wrong with this, yes, but at the same time, people seem to constantly underestimate the depths to which human stupidity can sink.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, even the Gachas game has been getting progressively better uh, over time, I think. It's just that there's only so much you can do at some. There's a lot of games where gacha games where like you don't have a reason to spend money on. Like we've talked about like all these different games where like for gameplay purposes it's fine if you don't if you just want like a character or two. Most of the time you it's just free currency, just free stuff will almost always guarantee you what you want. It's just but then you have people that will go in and be like, okay, I want literally everything. So it's like it really
Yeah, right.
depends like
Like
what the
some people are
expectation
just
is.
naturally completionists, and that's really you should
Yeah,
keep those people away
Hello.
from gotchas. Good lord.
yeah. It's like if you're just a
Hello.
kind of
Uh,
like
well, I've
one of the
just,
things
I
we
have
didn't
just,
touch about. Oh, go on.
I have just calculated how much I spent on the Black Clover Gacha, and I'm not going to share because it's
Oh,
an
no.
embarrassingly high number.
oh no.
Share
I mean,
it.
I'm not going
Do
to talk
it.
about how much I spent on FGO because embarrassingly high number, and also
I
because I don't know the exact number.
I've spent
Same,
at
but for all
least
gotchas.
like I think I've spent like it's probably going to be close to maybe £200 on Genshin event like soon enough.
I'm sure my lifetime spending on like all card games combined is in the high four, maybe even low five digits if we're talking lifetime.
To be honest though,
Yeah,
when it comes to
I
like
don't
whaling
know
and
how much I spent in
Genshin,
gacha. I don't want to know.
my
Same.
problems with my problems with whaling and Genshin, it's either I whale in Genshin or I decide to buy some manga for myself.
Buy the manga.
Not
for
because
the
I
love
That,
of
that
God.
at least you have a physical thing that you
Not
own, and also you
not
can derive enjoyment from it. That's not like ephemeral.
like
Yeah.
blooming to you would be really cool, but also like
Why would you spend money on Genshin instead of Bloom?
because like the waifus in Genshin though.
You sound
There's
like a
the
real
newest
guy.
dojins for that. There's free
the
dojins
newest
for that.
the newest character I want though is like really cool, and she's like exactly what I need.
There's an easy alternative. Just stop spending in gacha and get addicted to VTubers instead.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I'm
my
already addicted to I'm already addicted to VTubers. What the fuck are you talking about?
See, then you just spend more on VTubers and less in gacha. There you go.
but yeah, my
Oh,
There
both.
is
At
both.
least someone gets happy.
At the very least,
there is a
the very least, my addiction to gachas was short-lived. It was from the 5th of February to the 21st of August. Was the time in which I spent real money, and I'm not going to say the number because, as I said, it's embarrassingly high to me. Uh, it
Like
is
share it like outside of the pub, in chat without us actually outing
all.
you.
All I'm going to say on stream is that it's three figures, but it's closer to four figures than I would like.
ow.
Oh dear.
Mm,
I'm so sorry, Mel.
I am so sorry, dude.
I can't criticize you. I just can't.
Oh yeah, no,
mean-
I can't do that either. It'd be the pot.
I will.
As said, I'm just so fucking glad I got out of it when I did. Especially now knowing that it fucking died after a year.
Oh, there
What
was
if it
something
came-
I wanted to briefly touch upon with regard to gotchas that I don't know if we talked about much. And that's the gameplay in general and how most of it consists of just farming and grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the gameplay is usually just there as an excuse to make people spend as much money as possible.
Oh yeah.
Depends. Depends.
Gameplay is
That's
there to
actually
kill time.
that's actually a big like a huge point of variance in gotcha games. Like you have games where the gameplay is more on the simple side, and then you have games where the gameplay is super elaborate. Like FGO, the gameplay is like stupid simple and to the point of being boring. But then you have games like Arc Knights, Grand Blue, Girls One Live, where it's like people end up talking more about the actual gameplay meta, not like in the sense of like what characters are better or not, but like people spend more time thinking about the gameplay than the gacha because the gameplay is just that involved. It's like
Genshin.
that's a
Even
big
you
point of
know what's
variance.
funny? We haven't even talked about some of the stuff like Kantai Collection and like
Yeah,
Azur
Kenta
Lane
Collection
and some of
is
the Chinese gachas as well.
Genshin's
Kenta Collection is in
shiny.
the same bucket as Girls Online. They have very similar styles. I know because they play that too. Like they're very similar style, which is the what I call like the resource style, where the currency is not directly related to gameplay. You have like specific resources you're supposed to collect in the more normal means. Like they just generate over time, and that's what you use for most of the gameplay. And then they have an actual like they're more like a more tactical kind of gameplay where you're supposed to like plan out like team compositions and strategies and like let that go.
It's kind of why I have like some level of respect for like something like Genshin, because they went and made an actual like a really apparently mechanically deep game, right? Like it's
It's
apparently
it's really interesting because like there's a lot of stuff you can dick around with. Like a lot of characters can like really do like really fun synergies and combos, and there's like loads of videos on the internet of like people being able to like make absurd damage numbers just by like knowing how the game system works. Uh, and yeah, it's crazy. The other game they've made, the same company, Honkai. While Genshin could be considered more like Breath of the Wild, Honkai could be more considered like character action games like Devil May Cry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Which
it's more
is oh
shoot 'em up from what I've heard.
yeah, and that even had like a fucking Evangelion character in it because like Asuka's in it.
The
Yeah,
hell?
yeah. Genshin and Genshin Honkai also on that side of like the more gameplay heavy gachas.
But that's like, I guess because that's my first ever gacha. For me, that's kind of what I would want the bare minimum to be of like gameplay now for a gacha game. Like I want an
Mm.
actual, not an actual game, but like something that isn't like what you like. I wouldn't want to play Ark Knights or FGO and like that sort of gameplay.
I mean, I wouldn't. I understand it. I wouldn't say I would. I wouldn't say it's like should like be like a minimum snare or anything because like there is value to a more
Oh,
like hands-off game in the sense that
oh, of
like it's a
course.
lot easy. It's a lot easier. Like depending on like if you when you're planning to play, it's like there's a lot of value for a more like hands-off style game where you can
yeah,
just
but
like
that's almost worse, isn't it?
casually
Like
do
because
things.
with a casual hands-off game, it's so much easier to like justify purchases and stuff to yourself because it's like, oh yeah, this is just something. It's just one of those things,
No,
right? Like
not really in that sense. It's like the gameplay itself. You just don't have you don't have to be like actively have your hand on all the time. Like most of the time, at least for the games I've tried, where I consider it's like even then you don't really have much of a reason to spend money on that. Like
For
one
me,
of the
with
most hands-off games I have is Girl Online, where like most of the gameplay, like if you want to start a mission, if you want to, and it's like you're farming or something, you just like press four buttons, let you go to end. But at the same time, like why would you ever spend money on that? Because if you're farming, you probably already have a setup you need. So what's the point? You
my
just do it
only
once and then just
my only issue with spending money on any game is I want if I'm going to put money into the game in some sort of like reoccurring, thing, I want it to be a game that I actually really like enjoy the gameplay with. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't put money into Ark Knights or something like that, but I'd have to really enjoy it,
Mm.
right.
which is why I put money into Genshin because I know like I'm really enjoying the story, the gameplay is fun, the characters are all really cool. Like, apart from Pokemon, it's the only game I'm playing a lot of really at the moment.
Yeah, it
Oh.
does really change a lot. Like how much the game expects you to spend money on. I think it's like it becomes much less of a problem. Like it becomes less and less of a problem as the game is more like accepting of a style that doesn't actually use money. Which is not always game. as always, there are spectrums.
I mean, for the Black Clover gacha, I'm just trying to remember. There were three different sort of game modes, I suppose. One that was very story based and changed. Well, actually, no, there was four. There was one that was a story, but that I completed that very quickly, and they didn't sort of add anything to it for ages. Um, there was one that was sort of a raid aspect, where you had to beat sort of waves of opponents and get. And as you went up the difficulties, the prizes you got was better. Um, there was the banner stories, which obviously changed with each banner. And then there was the ostensibly the PvP, in that you didn't really face another person, you faced the team they set out.
Yeah, a
which was
lot of games
controlled
do
by the
that, where
computer.
instead of direct PvP, it's more that
Yeah, that's the
Massive
case
it's
with
an
the
abstraction of PvP that I
Yeah.
kind of am, I kind of
What's
like
the
that
point?
sometimes, because like
yeah, yeah.
Well, what's the point?
That's
though?
actually
Yeah,
the
it's not
system
bad.
they have in place for the Princess Connect gacha,
Yeah.
and they have that for the Modica gacha as
But-
well.
But
Yeah,
why?
a
but why
lot of
that,
gotchas use
though?
the system.
I
I see that more
I
often than like direct PvP.
if I'm gonna play a game where I'm gonna put money in it, I want to know I'm actually making someone online upset that I'm crushing them and their
Jeez.
soul. I want to pay
To
for the
answer-
experience, like make people upset, you know?
Oh,
it is
to
a
answer this
very
seriously,
noble
the
aim,
problem
yes.
is more. I think the reason why they usually go with that is like because those games are kind of like designed for you to play like kind of like the off time, and it would be kind of difficult to expect to for first to expect that there will be people to play at any time without creating like a power scaling problem, but also because like if people actually get involved, it would start getting into a increasingly deeper rabbit hole of like, what if one person has bad latency, one person has that, one person has that. So it's like actual
Yeah,
multiplayer
it's
games.
just more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, it's like actual multiplayer game. Like knowing how the insides like of some of these things work, it's like there's a
I mean, at that
lot
point-
of effort that has to be put down into the like multiplayer component,
mean-
actual like real time multiplayer components. Like for a gotcha
I mean,
game,
at that point,
it makes
sounds
a
like
lot
you
more
need to get
sense to
good.
just be like, it makes a lot more sense to just be like, okay, whatever, we're just gonna simulate a simple battle that gives you most of what you're looking for, and it just saves everybody time.
And most importantly, it saves the devs money
Mm.
on like. And remember, that's the thing about gotchas, isn't it? Is that kind of the point of them is to maximize profits while minimizing actual effort.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything. I mean, that's everything. Looks at Activision.
Yeah, but like
looks at
some mediums are worse for that than others, right? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, another thing about, is that because you're facing the computer, if you were facing a real person and you got beat, then depending on, how the fight went, you could say, oh, well, they were just better than me. If you're fighting a computer, then, you chalk it up to basically luck and try again, or, you think,
well,
I'm
no,
smarter
there's
than a
also the
computer,
issue
I
of
can
if you're
beat
fighting a
this.
real person, then you could just get salty and say that they're pay to winning.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that this also avoids. It's like,
I mean, if you
well, you can still say you're pay to win. They're pay to winning in the if like depending on like if the game allows for too many microtransactions, but like at the same by not having players directly interact with it, you're kind of like I guess you're kind of making it like easier to participate because like you don't have to be actually good at the PvP. You just have to like more or less know what you're doing. At least then you still get a chance. It kind of like gives an equalizer. These are meant to be really casual games, like after all.
And yet they tend to be some of the most hardcore games in the world in a number of senses.
Uh,
The fact
I
that they're
guess.
supposed to. Well,
It's
no,
like
in terms of that, like they're supposed to be casual games, but so many people treat them like they're these
that's
hardcore things.
everything. I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a
Again,
The
there's
hard
like
degrees, right?
comparison
And
of it because
gotchas tend to
like
go into that a lot more than a lot of other genres.
the
I wouldn't
hardcore
really
fandom
say that.
the hardcore fandom of Genshin's so bad like that. Like this tier list dedicated to characters for a game that doesn't have a PvP system.
Mm.
Oh god, there are so many for like FGO.
Yeah.
Genshin's really cringe though, because like you'll see people doing like clickbaity as fuck videos, and it's like this thing changes everything, and it's like no, it doesn't really. It's like
All these
anyone could
talks
have figured
about
this
meta
out.
changing new characters or whatnot is always fun to see. Like, oh, this
If by
Thing
fun
though,
you
Genshin.
mean horribly like infuriating at worst and just like annoying at best, then yes,
Well,
the
fun.
power
the
creep
get
thing once again.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
The
like
funny thing
I
is
feel
with
like
Gen-
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say the funny thing is with Genshin, like, because in most gacha games as well, when you get duplicates, you just have that extra character like in the list of ones you can pick, right? Like if you get like if you get the same character again, it's just like, oh, I have a level 1 version, then there's my level 80 version, right?
Yes.
Kenny.
But like whereas with Genshin at least, if you get duplicates, the duplicates are actually used to make the character you've got just stronger.
Oh, that's the
That's
same
most
in
games.
some other games like FGO.
Yeah, a
FGO does
lot of
that
games
too.
are
Right.
most games are that actually.
Most games do that. Like,
Fair
either
enough then.
ability of
Princess
theirs
Connect
or
does
whatnot.
that. Grand Blue does that.
But
Like all of them do that.
the awful thing about Genshin is though is like on some tier lists it'll have the minimum amount of dupes you should have for that character, but sometimes some of those minimum is literally apparently you need to max out the character. And bearing in mind, some of these are also for the again less than 1% chance for a temporary banner character, and apparently for them to be good, you need them to be maxed out, and it's like, oh come on.
At that point, just like which characters, right? At that point, it's just like like a lot of it just comes down to, at least to me, it seems like it's more trouble than it's worth so often.
Mm.
I feel like it probably feels kind of. I don't think it is a gotcha thing. I think it feels like it first because like I imagine for everyone here, that's probably the closest example of it we can see. And also because like gotchas are kind of like I want to say they tend to have a more social side of them, and as in like going on the internet, having like certain circles where it's like it's more visible to see those kind of things. But like they're really obscure. Like for a more like a random call, like a random console game or something, you're probably not even gonna try to look for it. But I'm pretty sure that most games, if you look hard enough, there will always be people doing exactly that kind of thing, like trying to min max everything. There's always someone that does it. It's just like with gacha is so easy to to see it because you have like big communities everywhere. We're into the right
I
circles
think
to
the
hear about those all
biggest
the time.
I totally get where you're coming from. I think the biggest gripe that a lot of people have with the gotcha side of things is not that there are people who are like being so anal about min maxing, but gotchas are are explicitly one of the places where min maxing costs either an unholy amount of time or a lot of money. Right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
games where people min max, but you don't really have to pay much to min
Right.
max.
It's more or less like of it's a I want to say it's in the same circle of concern as like just the freemium model, the free to play model in general. It's kind of like a subset of that,
Yeah.
where like you can play like a holy amount of times of it, but but at the same time it gives you a money based escape. But I think like it's like the same. It's very much in that category of concern, and I think it's fair.
I wouldn't go as far as calling it fair, but I do think it's
No,
understandable.
I mean like having the concern is fair.
Okay, yes, yeah, yeah.
That's it. I still think it's less bad than like the traditional freemium model where you can just like directly pay for like advantages. Like
Yeah.
at least in the gacha mode, like if you pay for it, you're mostly just screwing yourself over in most cases. Like not in some other
I'm almost
strategies,
like
you're fucking yourself and fucking other people over because
yeah,
you
but
can't
I'm
like
I'm
ruining
kind
their
of like
fun.
in the boat where like yeah, but like on a consumer to consumer level, it costs so much less for freemium, right? Like I'm like, you know what?
Kinda.
On a theoretically, it's not always like that in practice, but on a purely theoretical level, like with freemium, at least you don't have like there's not this gambling aspect, right? You basically, if you want something, you can just put down a certain amount of money for it, and you'll be guaranteed to get it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the problem
It's
is
much.
that
I
in a
find
lot of
like I feel like on an over. Sorry for talking over you. I just want to make this
no, it's
point.
fine.
I feel like it's more consumer facing than
Like
gotcha is.
I see where you're coming from, but I think it's more complicated than that because in a lot of freemium models, like you pay directly for it, but in a lot of cases, you still end up paying more for the simple fact that one, a lot of these advantages can be temporary. So like you can have freemium models like what you're buying for could be like like for example half like you get half an hour damage boost. You pay for what you want specifically, but if you want to do it in a more long term, you have to pay for it repeatedly. If you're in a gacha,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want
yeah.
to get
That's
the
the thing
character, you're
is
done. So I think it I get where you're coming from, but then you're getting more into discussion where like it depends.
it
It's
is
gonna
very
depend on
much
like
case by case basis.
what.
But I was thinking
Yeah,
like no. What I'm talking about is a strictly like apples to apples. For example, buying items or buying characters, right? If it's
right.
the things where there is direct literal overlap, I am much more inclined for the premium because I would rather just pay like uh $5 for an item than pay like 50 cents for a chance at an item, right?
Right, that's fair.
Yes. But at the same time, like the freemium is rarely for just like the item. It's almost always for like, oh, you want to increase the amount of stuff you can do while you're playing, so it gives you action points or whatnot, or
True, but like when it's a
accelerates
direct
the
comparison,
timetable.
I'm just saying. When it's a direct comparison, I'm much more inclined to in the direction of the freemium stuff when it's like direct like that.
Fair. That's fair.
I think it's fair to say that it would in most cases be preferable. But then again, that's also assuming that the cost of doing that is makes it comparable. It's like if the items are so expensive that if you were to compare to a gacha, it would be enough for you to roll so many times you
That
pretty
just
much guarantee to
I
get
get that,
it.
but that
Then
just very rarely, if ever, happens in practice, simply because
dep- depends.
they just wouldn't
That
sell enough.
Yeah, that again depends because like in some gacha games, especially because like a secondary problem is that in premium games, more often than not, the real problem is that some of these premium things you cannot get through normal gameplay. So that's what people will call pay to win. Why people call pay to win because either cannot get it or is impractical to get it. Whereas in a gacha game, at least you do have a chance of getting them without having spent significant amount of money because like in gacha at least there's nothing that's most of the gacha itself is never really locked out for paying only. So so that's why I say why so that's why I always say I keep saying that it's like a very case by case thing where it's like you could have a freemium game where it is better, but like it really depends on that, like what exactly the system, if that makes sense.
I can definitely understand where you're coming from as well with this. Yeah.
I think.
Like I'm trying to remember a specific example, but like
I mean,
I feel like I've seen RPGs before where like they just sell there are some like premium exclusive things that are just like
I mean,
so stupidly strong that you have it or you don't play the game.
for
So it's
me,
like
I think the difference is that well, certainly as said, from my experience, the freemium games um, usually the stuff cost less money, but that also meant that it was a lot easier to sort of go overboard with it because, you know, if you're buying something that is, 2-3 quid a pop, then you don't sort of really think about it, but very quickly it adds up.
It adds up, yes.
Whereas for the gachas, I was buying significantly more expensive stuff and therefore was, only willing to do it, once every while. I still
Yeah,
did
this is
it
an
more than I should
interesting
have,
point.
but
It's
I
a lot
felt
easy. It's a
bad
lot
about it.
easier to. Yeah, you make a fair point. It's definitely a lot easier to like more do it without thinking if you're just buying like really point like just making point decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a gacha, you're most of the time you're either really committing to it and just rolling for extended period of time, or you're just not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
You're doing. Most people would not just like open the game as like in the middle of the gameplay. They were just like, I'm gonna do a roll. I'm gonna buy a roll. Most people don't really do that because there's no point at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors that get involved into this. That's why the discussion gets really
This is a
complicated.
very complicated subject for something that is ostensibly supposed to be like just a casual, fun series of
Yeah,
dopamine hits, which is just
yeah.
really
I mean,
more of a commentary on like how humans tend to make everything complicated just by existing.
that feel when
Yeah,
you get
pretty
that
much.
dopamine hit from getting your favorite JPEG.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. But it's like
Yeah.
I know it's a gross oversimplification, but that's really what it comes down to a lot of the time. Is
Yeah, I
my
mean,
brain wants them happiness chemicals, and they can only get them by a very specific collection of pixels on the screen, but only if I pay for those pixels,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's just really an extension of like just how things are. Like this is not the first, and it's not going to be the last, where you
I'll
could
be
really describe something as like you do something, you get dopamine rush because you did something stupid with money that you really don't need. That's just like the story of humanity in a nutshell.
I'll be honest. When I got into Genshin, I got one of the 5 stars super early before I even hit the
I'm pretty
pity.
sure it's like programmed
And
to give you something. Like it's programmed to give you plenty of hits earlier on, so that you are more
well,
inclined to spend
the
later.
the
My
early game of
experience, not
Genshin does give you
necessarily.
quite a bit of stuff to like wish for characters. But I actually just got like a 5 star by complete chance because of my luck. The only problem is, unfortunately, it's arguably the worst of the 5 stars.
Which is just insult to
Reroll
injury right
time.
there.
Whereas
Reroll
like
time.
fucking Sea Dog VA got the best DPS and the best healer within the first 30 wishes of the game. Which still pisses me off.
Oh god, re-rolling. Yeah,
Rerolling.
I think most things have like a start thing where they give like oh, this free roll will get you like a 4 star or
You
five
tend to
star.
have a beginner's
Yeah.
bonus.
Yeah,
Yeah, Genshin had
like
that. Where there
like you
was
said
like
earlier, Fuzzy. The first hit is free.
there was
Yes, exactly.
there was basically in Genshin a banner for like the first 20 wishes, like to get a character or whatever. Um, and basically it was like if you did the equivalent of 10 wishes, it would give you 2 of them for free. So you're only actually doing 8. Uh, and it was a specific character where if you didn't get him in the first set of 10, you'd get him in the next one. And yeah, that's always that was quite generous. I was really surprised by that.
Actually, that also reminds me, the topic of being able to buy specific things. You do also have games where that is actually a thing. Like in Grand Blue, um, every other major like in anniversary right now, you do have a chance of buying a specific character like that. Like that's an option in that game. It's like it's not all the time, which might be even better because then you're not tempted to do it all the time. But like you can spend money in an actual an actual your choice of item.
Huh. That's kind of an interesting thing that seems much more again consumer facing than you'd think it would be.
Yeah. I find Granblue to be a very interesting case. I was a case study, like Gacha we're in. That's like it's what I'll say one of the best gachas in the sense of like minimizing the problematic sides. It's it has a lot of ways in that it gives you a lot of outlets to not have to spend money in
It
that game.
also has that one song about really buff men wearing underwear in a hot spring together, which is just really, really like a great addition to any
Wait,
media
what?
property. Oh,
Everything that
Will,
came,
I should show you that video sometime.
Are you talking about Golden
everything that
Kamuy?
KMR touches is golden.
Because
It's
that sounds
glorious.
like Golden Kamuy.
It
Yeah,
is
I
a
was gonna
very.
say.
There's some very heavy Golden Kamuy energy in Genshin Impact. Or that Grand Blue Fantasy. Look, they're all the same to me at this
Grand Blue
point.
Fantasy has a lot of energies. Like I'm gonna be real.
Got a lot of man service, is what you mean to say.
It has like a lot of different kinds of energy. Like it has a lot of golden community, has a lot of idol energy. It's like Grand Blue is a very interesting game, and it's a mash of so many different things. It's actually glorious. It's the only game it's one of the few games I've seen where you in the same game you have like Buffman idols and mecha in the same game in like completely different ways, and they just
That's
randomly
also true. That's also true of Fate Grand Order.
vary.
Also
Yeah,
got some like pretty decent like representation.
Which
Though
ones?
admittedly, sometimes it's not so great, but you know, it like at least the localizations kind of take that and run with it as well.
Yeah, localizations have also been pretty fun, depending on the gacha. Like FGO occasionally has some just really funny localizations.
Genshin's
Like
littered with anime references.
yeah,
There's literally like JoJo stands as part of achievement names.
there was actually a Dragon Ball Z abridged reference in the localized FGO.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Well then.
It was the line, "No, none of that. Shame on you."
To be
Oh,
fair,
so
that's not really originally a Dragon Ball abridged. I think that's like a South Park reference or something.
Either way,
I was gonna
it's
say
still a
it's
fun
like
reference.
okay, I was expecting you to say Archer, like just as crap baskets or something.
Now that would make sense. That would be in character. But yeah, no, like I think a lot of these get by having just by being having like fun events or fun characters that people really like playing with. That
And there's
that's what
definitely a
people
lot of
coming
it
back
comes
to it.
down to having characters that people would really like to play with, if you know what I'm saying.
Hardy
In
fucking
various
hard.
senses of the word.
Look,
Many senses.
I'm not wrong.
You're not. You're really not.
Yeah, you're very much not
It
wrong.
would be. We'd be lying if we said there wasn't some degree of waifu / husbando aspect to all of these gotchas.
It's like so much of it is waifu bait. Like, good lord.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's part of the reason I did whale on the Asta swimsuit character.
Yeah. Hmm.
not gonna
Asta is
lie.
one of the
Well-
few characters in which our tastes tend to disagree, Mel.
Not gonna lie. The summer events in FGO are always the ones that drain my wallet the most.
Yeah, after it is interesting with events because they always have like those random events that are basically just big ship posts, and it's always hilarious.
Yeah.
Like every Halloween,
Oh god. The Halloween events are wild.
it's it's great. It's great because you can feel like the writers are basically just ship posting at that point.
Yeah, no, they are like. It's telling that FGO does have its own shout out page on TV tropes, just to give you an idea.
Oh yeah, speaking of meme events, remember Guda Guda?
That entire series is just all memes. All
It's
the-
literally just
all
memes.
memes. All memes.
It's amazing.
You know what I'm wondering if it has a gotcha because it would make so much sense for it to have a gotcha.
But
Talia.
Italia?
Is that really such a deep cut that people have forgotten what Hetalia is?
No, it's just like I feel
Uh,
like no one's talked about Hitalia in years.
Yeah, no
because,
one's
like,
talked about Hetalia in a while, and I feel like if they came out with a Hetalia gotcha at some point, that would be different.
I feel like it's more the fact that most people who know about Italia are like over the age of like 13 now, and like aren't interested in it anymore.
I wonder. I wonder if
Oh,
Italia
come
would have
on.
the original sheet.
Based on some of the things people are into, I refuse to believe they're somehow too mature for Hetalia now.
I wonder if
Oh,
Italia
yeah,
would have
I almost
additional issues
forgot.
by virtue of being actual countries. Like you can get into some really complicated topics once you
Yeah.
get really things like that. But I'm not sure.
Hetalia does
And on
not
the
have
other
a
end of the
mobile game as
spectrum-
far as I can tell, but it has a fuck ton of RPG Maker games.
I'm not
Of course it
surprised.
does.
Not surprised there.
But it probably also has fan fiction.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no,
God.
it has so much dojins and fanfictions.
I mean, that's all.
Like
Yeah.
a major part of that series was about the yaoi shipties.
Give me one
So,
minute.
There was
I
maybe
will get up.
So on archive of our own, there is 39,908 works.
Really?
All
I've
on
got
Archive of
40,000.
our own. Really?
Fuck.
I'm. Huh.
basically Hetalia is still pretty popular. The fandom has just gone into hiding.
Well, it's
Yeah,
coming
because-
back out because it's getting a fucking
Oh.
new anime soon.
Oh,
Oh, God.
I
Oh,
forgot it.
Oh
is.
no!
Oh,
Don't
God.
close that lid
Like,
again.
we might actually, realistically, we might actually see a Hetalia gotcha because of that.
I
I
can't
mean,
wait
I
to
wouldn't
see
There's a
surprised.
1-0 chance that that might be the catalyst for a Hetalia gotcha of some
I
sort.
can't
On-
wait to see
on-
TFS's seasonal anime channel react with that.
On fanfiction.net, Hetalia has 119,000 fics.
I'm pretty sure it or Nart are the top of all time.
It
on
is
F-
third.
on
Naruto is
fanfiction.
top with 434,000. Inuyasha
What,
is second
Harry
with
Potter is like
120,000.
second or something?
No, this is just on the anime and manga bit.
Okay.
Fucking Harry Potter has 831,000.
Wow.
Second
know.
then on the anime side.
You're saying that Harry Potter is not anime?
Look, just because
mean-
it's as bad as a lot of anime doesn't make it anime.
I mean, I still remember that time when Hagrid said to Harry, "You're a cash cow, Harry."
It's really a turning point in the series, yes.
Truly, like, inspired dialogue from DJ.K. Rowling.
Doesn't Harry Potter have a gotcha?
Yes.
It had a really bad mobile.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely
God.
does.
I know it had a really bad mobile game where, like, your player character who's a child who's being strangled by tentacles.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, and then you have to pay for because like it's specifically designed so that you run out of energy to do stuff just as if you continuously play, you run out of energy exactly at the tentacle strangling scene.
Yeah, and if you in Harry Potter, if you run out of energy at and like don't, continue after a certain amount of time, it resets. So you can effectively be
fuck?
caught in a complete loop with these tentacles and the strangling.
What the fuck?
But yeah, Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery is the mobile game. Don't fucking get it. Harry Potter doesn't deserve your money anymore.
I did at one point.
I don't like Harry Potter enough to get into a gotcha for that. I know how gotchas work. I am not going to bother with that shit. Fuck that.
Gotchas are only worded if they has big titty anime girls or very hog men. Or both, preferably.
If you enjoy the story or the characters, or if you just, however you enjoy the characters, that's the only real reason to get into the gachas, to be honest.
Some of them have
Even
actually
then,
good
don't do it.
gameplay,
It
depending
gives
on what you're
J.K.
looking for.
Rowling more money, and she doesn't deserve it.
I would not advocate getting into anything Harry Potter related at this point.
Apparently, the new game that's coming out, like, the devs actively were uncomfortable with it because of, J.K. Rowling and her views.
Because she's a turf, yes.
Among other
Anyways,
things.
let's get back to the topic at hand of our video because we are derailing a bit.
Like we don't always do that.
Yeah, that's the point of our show is to derail as much as possible.
I mean, technically,
I
it's
thought
the
you'd
next.
realize that by now, Jack.
I mean,
No,
technically.
to be fair, we're kind of running out of steam, and like,
I mean,
honestly, we're like,
we've gone 2 hours, so
yeah, I think we're about
And it's
there.
gonna be a few more hours until we need to. You guys are gonna have to stream again for D&D.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, gonna be doing that in a little over 12 hours.
Make sure to get microtransaction on that now.
Yeah, Mill, how much you willing to pay for a Sapphire Power?
Nothing. I'm not falling for that. I'll grind
they
until I
always
can
say.
get it myself.
I'm sorry to say, but it's either going to cost $11,000 or 2.5 years, just like FIFA.
Yeah, I think we're about ready to head out. I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, after this, I'm just going to go to sleep.
So, thank you everyone for joining us on this really long. We went a lot longer than I expected. I think we probably could still keep going, and that's really a testament to just how both how complicated the subject of gachas is, but also just how fricked up it is and how much we want to complain about it. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Mill, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jack, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tiago, for sharing.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Kaito, for sharing.
Yes, let's go. When I wake up tomorrow, I plan again. I'm gonna wail.
Be back next week for more tabletop stuff. We'll be back for a lot of stuff, really. So look forward to it.
Oh yeah, Thursday is Stormlight Day, so be prepared for that.
We'll finally, actually, probably maybe do it this time.
Also, the
Fingers
Cradle
crossed. Knock on wood.
You guys might be able to do the Cradle episode soon because I've actually got Winter Steel and I plan on reading that soon.
Oh my god, that's pogged. That is so pogged. You have no idea.
I can't say now. That's hurt me too much. It's a good thing I'm going to sleep soon because god damn it, Fuzzy.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in and joining us, and let's see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.